Hey.
Okay, I hereby announce and state that adequate notice of this meeting was approved by virtue of the resolution scheduling the time, date, and place of the meeting. The Borough Council of the Borough of Morris Plains for the year 2026. This resolution was adopted by the Borough Council on January 7th, 2026, and published in the Morris News and the Daily Record, and by posting this such resolution on the bulletin board of the Borough Hall and website. All the above actions being in accordance with NJSA 10:4-6. Second. Please join me for the pledge of allegiance and prayer. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Almighty God, we ask you bless the assembly body with an abundance of wisdom and understanding, so that in fulfilling their public trust, every deliberation will result in actions that will promote the common good and general welfare for all the people of Morris Plains. Amen. I'd like to welcome everybody here tonight, and on a beautiful night. Kind of a special night. We have a new council person that we're going to be swearing in tonight, and Kelly Phoenix is her name, and she's here. Are you ready to go?
I'm ready to go.
Come on. Family with you tonight?
Yes, come on up.
Take them up.
Taking up half the room here.
That's good. That's fine.
Where do you want me?
We're gonna hold the Bible.
My husband, Mike, is going to hold
Hi, Mike. And it's gonna be left hand on the Bible. Everybody wants to see you.
Get out of my way for a second.
Kids in the front.
Yeah,
How's
you
that?
guys there.
Left hand on the Bible. Raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I, Kelly Phoenix,
I, Kelly Hewlett,
do solemnly swear.
do solemnly, say it again. Solemnly swear
That I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution
and the Constitution
of the State of New Jersey.
of the State of New Jersey,
That I will bear true faith
that I will bear true faith
and allegiance
and allegiance
to the same
to the same
and to the governments established
and to the government established
in the United States
in the United States
and in this state
and in this state
under the authority of the people.
under the authority of the people,
And that I will faithfully,
and that I will faithfully,
impartially, and justly
impartially, and justly
perform all the duties
perform all the duties
of the office of council member
of the office of council member
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability,
So help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I just want to take a quick second to thank some very important people. First, my husband Mike, my mom Mary Ellen, my oldest son William, my son Daniel, and my daughter Elizabeth. Thank you so much for being here and supporting me. I'd like to thank Mayor Carr and the council for appointing me to this role and trusting me in this responsibility. I'd like to thank Alice, Jim, Dennis, and the rest of the Republican Committee for nominating me and supporting me in this journey. Jerry Sitman for all your guidance and support. My friends for being here, thank you so much. I'd like to lastly honor Sal Cortez for all of his years of service to the Morris Plains Council. We owe Sal our gratitude and appreciation for all that he's done for the town. I know I have really big shoes to fill, and I hope I can make Sal proud. Lastly, I'm just honored to represent Morris Plains, and just my goal is to support the community and keep Morris Plains the special place that it is. So thank you.
Just get away
Yes.
scot-free and just walk away. Do you like Morris Plains?
Yeah.
Grandma?
I'll get one.
I know the schools are in your blood. But
Yeah.
right? Checks, right?
Thank you.
And now for Kelly, we have a mouse pad that you will probably wear out in the next 6 to 9 months. We have your official,
Thank you.
your official Community of Caring pin. Wear. And
Tell
just
me about all
because this is a special year, you have a 100th year anniversary sticker.
Wonderful.
Your refrigerator, your car with you.
Thank you.
Kelly, congratulations.
Thank you
Best
so
of luck.
much.
Thank you very much. Notice to members of the governing body and borough staff, any use of electronic devices during this meeting shall be used solely for the purpose of borough business. Roll call, please, Chris.
Mayor Carr,
Present.
Mr. Booth, Mr. Houston,
Present.
Mr. Ivy, Present. Ms. Cooley, Mr. Pontier,
Present.
Ms. Virgo.
As soon as our presenter is ready, we're going to have a presentation on the proposed renovations to the police department and municipal building by PSNS.
You're with me.
Look who's that.
That got it? Better. Can everybody in the public see that?
Yep.
Good. All right. Mike, did you want to do any brief overview or?
Sure. Good evening, everybody. As I'm sure many of you know, this has been a little bit of a journey for us at the police department and the municipal building. It really started in February of 2022 when I submitted a strategic plan, a 5-year plan. That plan probably should have been submitted a lot earlier than it was, but we dealt with COVID. That slowed our operations down a little bit. But in February 2022, I submitted a 5-year strategic plan to the mayor and council on everything from staffing to equipment to, again, now our building, which many of you know from coming to our public tours and our public presentations. The municipal building's from 1940-ish originally, in addition to some renovations in the 90s, to the point where I recognized when I was a young patrol officer 25 years ago, believe it or not, 3 months from 25 years here, that some of the facilities that we were dealing with were a detriment to our operations, a safety concern to our officers, and we needed to upgrade for the times. So we engaged in a lengthy process. We went through one previous architect after going out for RFPs. So the journey really started in 2022, 2023, leading up to, again, our public presentations, our open houses at the police department. I'm sure that's the first time that many people got a look behind the curtain, as they might say in The Wizard of Oz. But we invited the public in to see what our officers deal with on a daily basis and some of the things that we have to navigate through, not only as officers, but victims and witnesses and the defendants we have to engage with when we arrest them. So we put it to public question in November of last year, and in spite of all of what the feedback we got from that, we learned a lot from all of your input, from the things we heard, a lot of private conversations and emails and phone calls. And I think what we learned from that was that the public wants to see really two things. A downsized, scaled back project, right? We want to cut back on that financial cost. And the other thing we heard was, we like your location. We want to see you on Speedwell Avenue. So we, following the public question, met with a group, Mayor, Councilman Ivy, Councilman Pontier, and several members of my staff, reformed that conceptual plans committee and said, let's digest everything that the public has given us, scale this project back significantly, and I think what you're gonna see, I know what you're gonna see from Mark this evening, is getting us to those must-haves. What do we need to do to satisfy Department of Corrections, Juvenile Corrections, our accreditation standards? And for me, my biggest worry every day is the safety of our police officers. So I think tonight you're gonna see that, like I said, that scaled back version leaves us on the current footprint of the municipal building, but there's just really no way to add what we need without getting somewhat of an addition. And I won't steal too much of Mark's thunder, but it's been phenomenal working with Mark, and his team, very receptive to everything that we need. I thank the mayor for his support in this project, Mike and Tyler as well. So without further ado,
That was
turn
great.
over to Mark
That was
Cohen
great.
from PSNS.
That was a good setup, thank you, Chief. Like Mike said, there was a lot of introspection, right? A lot of people, council, subcommittees, mayor, chief, everybody really kind of looked inside and said, okay, we gotta really tighten our belt, right? We can't just shave things, we need to cut, right? Because the previous plan, was both from a design and I think financially very ambitious, right? So we're like, okay, let's really look at what we have to achieve here. Because you do need to make renovations to this building. You need to make alterations to this building. So we started with this, the bottom line musts, right? Not wants, but musts. So the building currently does not satisfy the New Jersey Department of Corrections. It does not meet juvenile justice standards for handling juveniles. Those are just have-tos. You've been fortunate enough, like many other municipalities, to get those grandfathered through the DOC. You can only do that for so long, quite frankly. You really need to do this. And fundamental to that and it not being compliant is the safety. It's the safety of your officers, it's the safety of the public, it's the safety of detainees, victims and witnesses. The current setup of the building really just does not support an appropriate processing, of victims and witnesses and detainees especially. The existing building is not very efficient operationally. The department has done what they've done and done a very good job with limited area, but as time's grown, since, like you said, the addition, almost 40 years ago, right? Things change, right? The force has grown, regulations change. So we wanted to also then provide for some of that growth. Okay, the previous plan, okay, again, maybe a little bit more ambitious from a growth perspective, so we're like, okay, what can we do? What's the minimum that is gonna get us, we're gonna move forward with this project and invest, X amount of money, we wanna get 20 years, 40 years out of it. We wanna extend the life of this building, right? So that was something that we took into account. We also, this was marching orders from the mayor, thank you very much, was to strive to develop a design for a total budget of $5 million. Okay, that was, while the previous building was ambitious going this way, that quite frankly was very ambitious going in the other way, right? To try to get all of the musts addressed and taken care of for $5 million. And that's not just the bricks and mortars, that was the total project cost. Okay, so, and as you'll see throughout the presentation, there's a lot of costs that go into the construction of a project, not just, what is constructed. And the other thing was, our team had to get it done in 90 days. So we started with a lot of really good information. Everything that the previous architectural engineering team did was really solid stuff. We looked at that, studied it. There were a lot of really good takeaways. But as I pointed out before, what our marching orders were to do was, okay, how can we get creative with what we have here in terms of the infrastructure and not just, spend money and look at a total gut of like the first floor of the building, which is what the previous plan was pursuing. So, you know, some of those things, we looked at the, you know, the engineering reports, previous PowerPoints, you know, we did all of our homework. And in that very first kickoff meeting, you know, with the chief and a couple of his, you know, of his key people, you know, and that was the day 2 thing. We were tired, get going, you know, we have like a really deep dive meeting, with the police department. So building on what I just said is like, how can we maximize the existing building infrastructure that's here, right? Let's just not gut things. Let's see how we can work with the existing configuration, but still be able to grow. So challenge. So we're like minimizing the selected demolition. We're gonna provide all new floor finishes, et cetera, all new lighting, you know, upgraded lighting, concurrent LED. Let's stay away from some of the previous pursuits from the earlier design. You know, another thing was, you know, I know the previous design looked at additions in a lot of different places around the existing building. And what I'm grew up in Mountain Lake, so I've driven by this building, I've been in this building a million times. This building's image is on Speedwell, you know, it's very set, it's comfortable, right, it's known. That's the image of the municipal building, you know, and some of the previous studies looked at, okay, maybe let's add towards Speedwell, let's do some of those things. So that was also one of those things where like, you know, I'm gonna sound like a geeky architect for a second. You know, like buildings kind of talk to us, like they kind of start to steer you towards what seems like a really practical way to approach this. And it was just simply that mechanical courtyard, right? And that was also pursued by the previous team of where can we add on to this building, but not really fundamentally change its outward appearance, its front, you know, its faces on Academy and Speedwell, but also maybe address something where everybody parks in that parking lot and it's kind of the back of the building and it looks like the back of a building. You know, how can we maybe do something a little bit better there, right? And it also be a front at the end of the day, it also be a front to the expanded building. So first challenge was also, you can't lose any parking. Okay? You know, we're gonna add on to the building, but you can't take away any parking. So, gotta get creative with what's out there. You know, there's a little bit of wiggle room towards the east side, you know, towards some of the adjacent residential properties. I'm gonna use that because the only way to get those compliant spaces that I spoke about with the Department of Corrections, the holding cells, all of those processing areas, that's all the most expensive stuff in the building. Okay, that is the absolute most expensive part of this building. The only place and the best place to do it is in that addition, right? Vehicle sally port, don't have one. Don't have proper holding cells. You know, some of the processing sometimes is shared in kind of like office type settings. It's doing the best. It is what it is. You know, that's what you do. You make do. So first challenge was, okay, how can we add into the courtyard, not lose any parking? So we kind of figured something out. Bill Wright has taken a look at it. I think it's passing the engineer sniff test. So I think that we can pull that off. So how can we renovate the existing building? Provide what we're estimating is like, you know, 15% sworn officer growth. It's trying to find those little places inside the building, you know, where the locker rooms can expand modestly, but not blow up the infrastructure of the lower level of the building. Modest renovations down here, but at the end of the day, you know, you're going to be spending significant money. You want to have something, you know, shows for that. So, you know, it would be as if you're walking into a completely renovated facility. All right, the first floor, a little bit more challenging. You know, this is like really the most challenged floor because of all those safety issues that we talked about in terms of that separation of the processing and the detaining, you know, of sometimes the bad actors, right? But, you know, so we have to handle them in a very, very safe and secure area. That, as I said, is plugged into the addition. Also in the addition is the space for the investigative unit with one spot for growth, right? So, you know, we built in that anticipated growth there, and then the rest of it was kind of like a shell game a little bit in terms of how can we keep this footprint and then maybe move the things, get those operational adjacencies that the department was looking for, but again, work with the walls that are there, right? Work with the ductwork that's there, because the early engineering report said it's fine, it just needs to be clean, right? So, you know, we're working with what's there and not just kind of like taking the designing architect's approach of like, hey, let's just, you know, make it all brand new, and you know, get what we want. This was also one of the things that really needed to be done that I think was also troublesome from the past, is trying to think of the bullet there, keep thinking about construction phasing and how to you know, mitigate the disruption to the staff, the public, everybody, right? Because construction projects can be challenging, right? Working next to a construction project is challenging. So that was another thing that kind of like we like layered into the design thinking of, you know, we need to add on to and renovate this building and still function here, right? That's high order. So, but that's playing into things as we think about, you know, the design and the arrangement of the spaces. Now, the other thing that we started with was, I know the previous plan had some other amenity space in it and things like that. Like you said, the must-haves. We boiled this down to just what the PD needed, right? We solely focused on the PD requirements, and that all kept us on the first floor of the building. But in working through that, and when the plans started to kind of firm up a little bit, we also had some great assistance from, you know, a member of the community, who knows buildings, lives down the street. I've known for 30 years. He added a lot of value, you know, to the conversations and challenged, you know, me architect to architect, and you know, and really we thought through some of the things, and then in doing so, we're like, I think there's an opportunity here. And with that addition, there is an opportunity to do a second floor over it, right? And maybe not just stick with the absolute minimum, but let's think of an addition, because quite frankly, most of the money is going into getting out of the ground and getting the first floor up, right? The roof moves up another story, the roof's the same cost. You know, you're paying for the walls, you're paying obviously for the mechanical and all those kind of things, but let's think about that. And let's at least estimate it to see where that might take us financially. So again, let's remember, baseline, just PD and their requirements, and then these other kind of things that are add-on, depending upon the council, you know, the council's choice, really. So that was something else that we then ended up studying, and we were able to do that with a lot of feedback from our cost estimator. I'll go through these fairly quickly. These are just preliminary. Some of the renderings look very finished. These are concepts. Okay, these are concept images. You know, they're not finite designs, but they start to at least give everybody a flavor for what it could be. And you can see from, you know, here was one of the challenges. Like I said, it's like this is the back of the building. We kind of need to at least present something that has a little bit of character that kind of blends in. Being that we're also adding a sally port, we're adding yet another garage door to the back, you know, to this side of the building. So we need to be thoughtful about that, and how can we, you know, kind of get that to maybe lie down a little bit. Just concept images, not full designs yet. Well, the vapor trails from Newark Airport. You know, and it's sketchy. We try and we kind of make these images just to really kind of help to imply we're early here, early concepts, right? Not executed finite designs. You know, just to get a sense of what that one-story addition might look like. And then we're thinking about the two-story addition. Okay, so the two-story addition, you know, would also, I think, in this case, give the borough an opportunity for growth. I've done a variety of municipal buildings. some in Morris County, some in other counties. Just most recently did like Boonton Township's expansion. Nearly every municipal project that I've worked on, the municipality was smart enough to kind of build in a little bit of growth. Not crazy, but some growth, just as an insurance policy. Government grows, it shrinks, it kind of gets big and it gets small times, and you can never fully anticipate that. But building in a little bit of growth, I think would be prudent, but that's my opinion. That addition on the second floor, while it's not designated for anything, it would give the town, an opportunity for community room, like a meeting room, different than maybe the one that we're standing in, and different than like a 12-person conference room. I'm seeing that a lot in designs. Just did that on the other side of the river in Bucks County. They're a beautiful community room in a much larger municipal building down there. Now, as I said before, what we really got to think about, because we love the design, but we also we want to make something that's executable, right, and not at a premium. So we got to start talking to everybody here, especially. It's going to be painful, right? A building on this site, everybody heard the residents loud and clear. We want you at this site. Okay, so that comes with challenges to execute that. So we started to think of, and quite frankly, it's us trying to really express the challenge that this is going to be, so everybody can start managing expectation, right? The people that work here, the public that's going to still visit the building, what this might be like for a period of 12 months or whatever the duration may be. So we're also thinking about how the contractor's going to need part of the site for their operation, and we're gonna still have some public parking, but it's going to have to be scaled back. The other thing is then is going deeper into the building is how to build it with as little pain as possible. So we try to figure out how we can strategically direct the contractor to move their way through the building and build it so that we kind of manage alongside of them of how what parts are built first, the sequence. The chief has been great in terms of trying to think of how they can get creative with doing what they do day in and day out. Wow, this is a construction site. And I've already heard a lot of creative things that they've been talking about. Like in that one plan, we kind of showed maybe there's a trailer, maybe there's an office trailer for the borough people to kind of move in and move out. That adds money, right? Maybe there's rental space, maybe there's office space that could satisfy that, in the area. So I think what I'm hearing and what I've gotten from our meetings is everybody here is thinking creatively, how can we do this, as efficiently, as prudently, and as fiscally sound as possible. This is our kind of scorecard. What architects and engineers, they don't do cost estimating very well. Be honest, because you get attached to design, right? It's hard to kind of cut that sometimes. We know that we hire professional cost estimators. Okay, this is part of our process. We embrace it. We use it as a tool to help keep us on track financially. We don't like projects that are over budget. You all don't like projects that are over budget, right? So this is a tool that we use together to make sure that we're staying on track financially. On the left-hand side is our professional cost estimating firm. They're out of Butler, and it's hard to read. That main sheet is the one that summarizes everything, and that identified the cost of that first floor PD kind of only project. And then at the lower left there were 3 line items of, let's think of those other maybe add-ons, those other things that we could do if maybe there's grant money, right? There's a good bit of grant money in the public safety world right now. Maybe that can help. We can help leverage some of that to help get the bigger building or for our, less outlay for our money. A lot of different ways to skin that. The document on the right was prepared by Dave Schultz, who is like, that's great, here's our bricks and sticks cost over here, now we gotta figure out how to do this, right? The architect engineering fees, surveying fees, civil engineering, legal, bonding, all down the line, these are all, furnishings for the building, special equipment for the building. Those are all the things that don't land on the left-hand side, but are essential to pulling off the entire project. So, we took the numbers from the left and then we plugged them into the right. So, we came close to the 5 million, we didn't hit it. We came close.
Start with the left side.
We came close. Yeah, the left side did look like
That was very good.
we were about there. Here's the summary. And in between, we also kind of looked, there were some other things. Some of the other options were, let's look at a new entry vestibule for a more pronounced main entrance to the building. Let's maybe look at a human scale canopy that kind of like breaks the scale of the building down and starts to help people understand from that parking lot where the front door actually is, right? So that was also something we looked at. The cost was a lot. It was one of those like, it just didn't seem like the cost was justifiable. I loved it as the architect, but it just didn't seem to be justified. So we're kind of like, we should probably abandon that, because it was a chunk of money. So what you see are the area tabulations for both of these schemes. You can see, there's the construction cost ranges, where we did kind of hit that. We did hit the 5 there, but not the project cost. The project cost, it's usually probably about 20% on top of, that's a rough number, don't hold me to that. It's a rough number of all those other costs that will go in to fully execute the project. So that 1-story option, police only, you can see the numbers that are there. And there's ranges, and the ranges are there for a variety of reasons.
Can you just, for people who may not be able to see, just spell out the ranges?
Sure. Let's just talk total project costs, because
Yeah.
the 1-story option, anywhere from like 5.1 million to just under 6. All in. That's a pretty broad range, because construction is tough to estimate these days, right? There's a lot of external factors that can affect the cost of the cost of construction. So it depends on how hungry contractors are as well. It also depends on how busy contractors are as well. There's a lot of other factors that play into it. This is not an exact science, but the professional cost estimators have their finger on the pulse of construction, and typically I like my estimators to kind of, if they were bidding the project, I'd like them to be like number 2 or number 3. Not necessarily the low bid. I don't want to rely on that information that it's going to be the low bid contractor. I'd rather them be kind of maybe in the middle of the pack. So they're conservative, but not overly conservative, because you all have to plan around these numbers. You have to defend these numbers. You have to live with these numbers. So we take this part of what we do very, very seriously. And like I said, throughout the entire process, we keep those checkpoints. Like I said, those look like finished designs. They're not. This is very conceptual. It's very early. The process, should the borough want to move forward with either one of these, there are at least 3 checkpoints along the way where we all sit there and say, okay, where are we financially, right? Schematic design, design development, construction documents. We have to go through those 3 phases before we can have a set of documents that's ready for public bidding or for public contract law. So that's at least a 6-month process. So, we've got those kind of intermediate checkpoints. And quite frankly, at any point, the borough can put the brakes on it, accelerate it, what have you, but we're always going to be able to kind of look at those numbers, talk candidly, and then either keep moving ahead, because we're going down the right path, or maybe we need to revisit certain things to kind of keep it on path. So, that is also built into the process. I know that, the borough is, is looking to move ahead, but it's council's choice as to which path we go. These present the different, the fork in the road of, do we just go with the 1-story? Or do we go with the 2-story and have a little insurance buffer for future, for other space that, could work for the borough in that expanded area? Right.
So, any members of the public have a question for the architect?
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Mhm.
In doing the research, was there any discussion going north on the other side of the building, where that we still have that property, and building a garage there for the police, for the fire trucks, the 3 bays, and using the existing bays for the police station? Building a garage is a lot cheaper than building an addition and furnishing the inside of it.
We did not look at that.
It would be disruptive, it wouldn't be as disruptive as what you're talking about, moving offices and everything else, because you could set that up first, then come over and do the garages that are there existing for the police officers, and then go further.
One of the challenges, like you said, with this project is the phasing, is actually building it. And also, as I noted, the piece that's going in the addition is the most expensive stuff. And I would be more comfortable with doing that more expensive stuff from ground up, where I can control all of the parameters and there's no wild cards, rather than, demolishing portions of the existing building, slab primarily, to then do those kind of things. I think that it would probably end up being more costly, but, that is something, that's not something that came up in our conversations, in terms of, as like another option. Because one of the other issues there, I think that we have to look at is like the functional adjacencies of, some of those Sally Port, some of those functions that are currently designated for that addition, and how
You
they
still have
relate to the
the back end
renovated
of
area.
the back of the garage on the other side too, you
I
can use,
mean,
and convert that to a Sally Port. It's just a thought.
it's possible.
And I know, and I've spoke to people about it, building a garage and refurbishing what's down below is a hell of a lot cheaper than moving generators and everything else to come in.
Generator, we're able to keep the generator.
Not in the same location.
That was one of the things that we were that was one of those things that kind of.
It's gonna be in the center of the building. It'll be in the center of the building.
No, we're able to have clearances
Go
around it.
back to the overhead, Mark, you should show me. It's off to the side. Just for the record, that was Jerry Sittman for the question.
I mean,
Point it out so you can see.
I see it.
yeah, it's, whoops. I worked hard to try and keep it there because there's a chunk of money to move that. That is also like, I couldn't justify spending, moving that. If we can make it work, we make the design work by keeping it there.
How much more square foot do you gain right now with this?
The footprint of the addition is 2,000 square feet.
And what is
then
the,
push
what,
that up, it's
do you know
another
what the existing garages are now?
I do not. I mean, you kind of like graphically look at that, you visually. you know, fundamental to those, that Sally Port and all those hardened areas is those need to be 8-inch CMU walls reinforced with rebar like every 16 inches, built solid. That's something I'd rather do in the addition, in a new setting, than do that inside the existing building.
Just step forward and ask a question.
Good to sit down. I gotta stand up.
He's around.
Uh,
All the way. All the way.
Jim Myers, so earlier in the presentation, you had mentioned about, the parking, concerns, and you said that there was, additional space to the east. And what additional space?
Green, there's a strip, there's a green strip at the end of the parking area that we would just, shy of the white,
Fence.
the white fence that's there. Still,
Okay,
still
are you saying going up
to
to
the white fence.
right up to the fence?
Yes, sir.
And is there, have you spoken to the attorney about the setbacks from that, from the other, from that property, of that neighbor to, for the usage?
It would be just where the parking is right now, Jimmy, the lot does not get any bigger, and we actually add 2 spots, there's 37 there now, this adds.
To the back corner where the old municipal garage used to be? Is that what you're talking about? Or are you talking about
The
to
green
the,
space over here in the back right corner of the parking lot.
where the old garage used to be? Right, is that what you're saying?
And then they've reconfigured the center island, which is round, to have 4 spots.
Just to kind of get
We
rid of
don't
the
go,
center island?
we don't go any closer to the fence.
No, we don't go close.
Alright, so that's the question, yeah, because there was already kind of an issue with the plows already with that fencing,
No.
so, okay.
Is there an overhead of the parking or not? You could show them the island is gone and the extra spots on the floor there maybe.
Of course, it's one of the earlier.
So you
So-
see the spots in the middle.
Yeah, because this, the,
Island.
it's not the most efficient right now.
Getting rid of the island.
It's getting rid of the island.
Okay.
You know, and then, you'd have two-way driving here, and then it becomes a one-way loop.
Okay.
And that's how, we're able, we're kind of like I said, we had to get creative with every little
Yep.
feature.
And then
Yeah.
throwing a couple more spots where the old annex garage was.
Correct.
Because you lose some when the addition
Yep.
goes out where the police park.
Okay.
Anybody else? Paul?
Hi, Paul Kohler, 18 Hillview. You were talking before about growth, and that's important. Whatever the chief needs, the chief should get. But 10 years from now, in your experience, will this handle growth that was 5 years, 10 years, 20 years?
From a staffing perspective, I would have to defer to the chief on that.
But regulations change, just like they're changing now.
Correct.
So would this be someplace that has the ability to grow to what the changing needs are and the changing regulation?
For the police or other governing.
For what the chief needs.
chief,
Yeah, I mean, just, with the addition, the compliant holding cells, a separate soft interview area for juveniles, I can't even say renovations of our locker rooms, it's cleaning up and reorganizing of our locker rooms. We added, a locker or 3 to that tally right now, where we already have like 2 extra right now, but we'll add some significant growth. The ladies' locker room, grows significantly in size to add to that staffing as well. So yeah, I mean, everything that I've seen at least puts us in, a 15 to 20 year, satisfactory period, both with the compliance standards and for some additional growth to the PD if need be.
adding sworn officers is an expense. I mean, and that's, that it's gotta be justified obviously by the needs of the community, what's going on in the community, but, it's, as you said, Chief, on the men's side, 5%, I think, additional, and on the women's side even more. So, just knowing how, like, police forces don't grow rapidly. They grow fairly piecemeal, not the best word, but.
And I think he mentioned earlier in his presentation that he added one, like an office for the detective, right? So we have two now, he added, there's an addition of one in there, right?
So it's a 50% add for that unit.
I think
You know,
there's
so
some other additions there for sergeants and lieutenants and whatnot.
correct, workspace, more comfortable workspace, because right now there frankly isn't none. Some of the other things that we did was figure out how we can use different spaces for multiple purposes, right? Not a dedicated conference room. Frankly, right now, there's a meeting room here that also serves as the break room, that also serves as the muster room, that serves as a conference room, right? So it was really one of those things where the belt got real tight, right? And you're saying, you know what, administratively, because the price tag was just too much. So, like, what frankly has to happen is administratively, you just get creative. You get creative with space, you don't overbuild it, right? But I can tell you the worst thing that you can do when you go ahead with a project like this is build it, and then day one, it's not big enough. That's happened. I won't say where, but that's happened.
We're not gonna rat anybody out.
Don't.
We have good planning. Anybody else with questions? We do have, we have our auditor here tonight, and our CFO or treasurer, so are there any financial questions that anybody may have?
This is sort of related
Just,
to.
come on up, just state your name and.
Sure.
Please, thank you.
Bill Chance, 13 EB. Yeah, I guess my question, if we looked at, for example, doing, sports been at $5 million and some of this in 5 years, finding out we've got to do something dramatically different, some kind of shared services agreement with Hanover Township or Morris Township or Parsippany, where that may be the better long-term play, right, for police department or, police services. Because looking at the budget, right, we had a 9% increase in expenses this last year, 1.5% increase in the revenues. We did it because the debt came down, that closed the gap, and we had some, ratable increases. But that, you can only see that going out a few years, and then we're gonna be kind of in a tough spot. I'm just wondering have we taken a look at that more like 10 or 15 years down the road, how we could look out before we make a commitment like this?
So I know the chief has looked into that, and especially during this project, if we have to utilize other agencies' equipment or buildings, I think he's been talking to some of those chiefs about that. But as a long-term consolidation of police departments or fire departments, not really, to be honest.
I'm thinking, should we though, before we commit to this, that's what I'm asking.
Should we? Is that the question?
Yeah, no, should we be thinking about what that would look like, and what the implications financially there versus long-term doing something like this?
That's a tough question. That would take better part of a year or longer to kind of figure that out. And you'd have to see whether other departments in the area are willing to do that as well, right? So that's a heavy lift to figure that out. So I think worry about what our needs, and I don't know about chief's opinion, our needs now and in 20 years.
I mean, I can only speak anecdotally to the growth that I've seen in 25 years, from starting as a police dispatcher to what we did with cost sharing savings by going to the county communications center. But I think, at least from the conversation that I've had with residents from, basically November of 2001 when I started all the way up to now, is we've increased staff, right, because of the needs of what this community has. But being at our community policing events and knowing my staff like I know them, and the response you're going to get to reduce or eliminate the Morris Plains Police Department, I think a lot of residents would be highly upset. We do it much better than anybody in Morris County. I'm very proud of that fact. You would not get the same services from. I've seen mergers before. I've seen slowed response times that creates risk to life and property, and I mean, it's being pushed all over the place, but I think from the things that I've seen when people eliminate police departments, they regret doing that later in time. And nobody's gonna care for this community like the 20 police officers that we currently have right now. So certainly, but what's it worth in the end? What's the cost versus the value there? Any one of my officers would run into your burning home right now to pick you up off the ground and carry out. But is that delay in response time worth it to the 2.6 square miles that we have, and the way that my people care? I've said for 25 years since I've taken promotional exams here, I don't live here. I put my head down somewhere else, but my heart is in Morris Plains. I would do anything for any one of you. I may not know your names, and I've grown up with a lot of your kids and raised them through DARE, and that's the way our culture of our staff is. So we take care of this community. So certainly an opportunity to do that, but I don't think it goes well.
And honestly, I don't see 5 officers on a shift at a time in Morris Plains either. Like you said, you can only get so much blood out of the stone, right? So is there gonna be some growth here? I'm sure there'll be some in the coming years, but in the next 20 years, I'll say, but it's certainly not gonna grow exponentially where you're gonna need 5 guys on a shift or 5 officers rather on a shift at any one time. Anybody else? And do you just wanna speak about the financials a little bit,
Yeah,
for
so-
everybody? Just, if you wanna just come up.
Banner.
And this is Valerie Dolan, she's our auditor.
So, looking at the debt for the borough of Morris Plains and where we currently are, if we were to tackle a project like this would be possibly the opportunity. We just have 2 bonds currently for 2026, one is being paid. So in 2027, we're only gonna have 1 bond. This is the first year we're not paying down on notes. Where we have some projects that are unfunded, but we're able to float our own debt. The 1 bond issue that we would have open, it was done in 2021, it was for a 15-year bond. That's gonna be finished in 2036. We wouldn't have to bond this current project for 10 years. So even if we did notes, if we had 2 notes, to carry us into that 10-year, when that other bond is paid, we still only have 1 issue, 1 bond. So it would fit into what we've been doing for the last
But you may
30
not
years.
even bond for this, this may be paid off in 2-3 years, however, I'm just using that as an example, but we've been able to pay our debt, like Anna has said, this is not tremendously huge amount of reach, and especially being financially stable right now, this fits, in my opinion anyway, I think yours as well.
Right.
This project fits right now, without straining the program.
Right.
Valerie?
Yeah, I probably would agree to that. As looking at all of the financials, you were definitely, if you were going to go into anything, would probably be the time would be now. Because like Anna said, you'd be in the temporary financing right now. And you'd be working through temporary financing, and then you would be in a position probably at the completion of the project to decide, are you going to continue to just pay it as you go and pay it off before the 10 years? Or look to when those bonds come due, that'd be when you could add that debt on, and you might even be able to structure it in a smaller pay down. You wouldn't be looking to go out years based off of the size. It would not be a 20-year bond. You would definitely be able to keep it as a smaller bond issuance on the small side. So I think you're financially in the position where you have been paying as you go for a lot of your capital, that you have the ability to take this on with very limited to no impact financially.
Any questions for them? Rob?
Rob Mackler, Team Maple Ave. Just a question, when we get the other estimates, there was a breakdown of the monthly property tax amount. And I found that really useful because a lot of times these numbers are really big and they can scare people. They hear $6 million, but when I found out it was gonna be $15 a month, that kind of changed the way I looked at it. So do you guys have those numbers for this amount? I mean, I could do the rough math, but.
Well, I actually did, but being that, it is still new and we might not even go out for bonds. But if we were to, you're looking at maybe $128 a year for this project. That being said, because we do have one of the bonds that is gonna be, there actually wouldn't be an increase because we've been budgeting currently in 2026, almost 1.3 million for debt. Next year, it's only 700,000. So it would fit in that budgeted amount that we already have. We're not gonna be raising more. But to your point, that debt is a dollar value, and the dollar value would probably be.
So even if we bonded it out, it would be about, for the average property tax owner, it would be about $10 extra a month?
Yes.
Thank you.
And that would be for 15 years. I did it for 15 years, not 20. So,
Try to keep it on the small.
Thank you, I think that's an important number for residents to have and to understand.
Once we get a little bit further, if the council decides to move further, those numbers will get tighter. These are just, obviously rough numbers. But, and that's if we even bond.
Right, so that's a
We have
maximum.
We have a bond payment now, but next year we won't, so you could, right, you apply that whole payment to bring down this debt here too, right? So there may be no impact, possibly, right?
You could theoretically
There's a
start
lot of options.
taking that savings that's coming off of the debt and build it into capital so that you could then use it to fund this project until it gets moving and gets to the other end, and then, Anna said, I think you're gonna see it more stable, it'll be stable, because of the size and scale. It was the increase really when we were talking about project double the size, would really have more of an impact.
Thank you.
Anybody from the council?
Oh,
You
one
wanna-
more. You got another question?
Sure.
So if it's gonna be basically a financial
Paul,
push,
I'm sorry, name and address.
Paul Collier, building, so if it's basically gonna be a financial push, is there an opportunity to pay a few more bucks and get exactly what they need?
I think
That's a council question, of course.
Correct.
Well, I think what happened with the vote when it went down, there was a window of $7 to $11 million or whatever that got turned down. So we were trying to work within that lower constraint from the public question that was off the track.
Let's hear the bond, the question on the ballot was the estimated cost is $8 million to $12 million. Maximum bond is $12 million. The estimated 20-year annual cost to average taxpayer was $253 when we had the referendum.
But again, members of the council, questions for either the architect or Valerie?
No, I mean, I've looked at the plans 100 times because I'm obsessed with real estate. And, you know, I do like what I see. I think we just really want the public to understand why there is a need for this and how we would approach it. That was really the point for tonight, was we were trying to be as transparent as possible. We want public comments, concerns. I think at the end of the day, you know, I personally feel this is a good idea because I think it not only answers some of the concerns we have now, but it also sets our children up in the future in 10 to 20 years. And I like that because let's say in 20, 30 years when our kids are up here on the council, maybe, right, and they're taking care of grandpa and grandma over here, I want to know that they're safe and they're protected and the borough does have the resources that they need to keep not only the police department safe, all of our first responders, to make the process safe. I've learned a lot as well in the past couple of years in working with Chief and talking to council members, fire department members, police department members, tons of residents. And, you know, I am proud of the work that we've done to get to here because I do think we've done so far as good as we can to really listen to the residents, like we said, and to not spend the money that we had said could be a possibility. But I also, again, do want to ensure that we are setting the borough up for success in the future and that we are keeping our residents safe now, our future residents safe. They're only, just in general, in our town and other municipalities, building homes, right? So the borough is going to continue to grow, and the police department and fire department are going to continue to grow. So I don't necessarily have as many questions. I did want to hear from Anna what the impact would be. I was actually pleasantly surprised to hear what you said, just as far as now really being that time to strike. You know, as myself as public safety chair, this has been, you know, near and dear to me. And, you know, again, I just want to make sure that there is that support out there from the public. Because again, this does affect all of us, but I feel like the work we've done and what we've seen financially is actually a pretty minimal impact for what we're getting. And there will be the small disruption or decent disruption when we're doing the construction, of course. But again, we did listen to people, we did do everything we can do to try to keep it on site, to not move it off site. We had, you know, Jerry, kind of, before engaging the engineers, looked at, could we do something with 555 or other things, and it, from what initially was looked at, it just, for some reason, didn't seem as feasible. I'm not an engineer, so I can't, you know, chime in on that, but again, you know, we are asking the public for their support here because we would like to at least take this to the next step, not commit to the project, but at least take it to the next step where we can get a better idea of cost, we can get a better idea of timelines, and at that point, of course, we can share that information with you, because we do want to have public input throughout the entire process. The cool thing is that there is the option to do the one floor, which gives us everything we need, but the second floor could give us a larger community room, things that really could have a benefit to the borough in the future that I do think, like Paul was saying, are worth considering if there isn't going to be that financial burden that people think of when they think of us spending $6 million. So that wasn't as much of a question as a statement, but again, you know, I just really want to.
Statements were coming later.
Yes, I'm sorry, you know, but just to reiterate that, you know, we're very, I don't want to say concerned, we really wanted to be able to be as transparent with the public on this, to answer questions, and, you know, to potentially be able to take it to the next step, so even the council can see what that looks like, and then again, be able to share that information with you at that time. But I thought there was some great questions. Again, my questions were really, what is the tax burden going to be on the people? How does that set us up with the budget and debt and things like that? So in that sense, I believe, you know, my questions were answered. I know as far as my quick question, let's say, Mark, would be for next steps, what does the next step look like?
Move ahead with my firm to go to the next step. You know, we can, depending upon the choice of the council, you guys have the hard job. You gotta pick, you know, column A or column B. And then we will proceed forward with, you know, your selected option, and then move into those next phases of design. You know, we're ready to go. You know, I think either path you pick will be a fabulous benefit to the community. You're gonna be making state of the art is another big word, but you're gonna, you know, state of what police operations should be. They've been doing a great job, and they've been handicapped. So, you know, let's give them the tools to do their job. And, you know, it's had the same situation with Blue Township. It was just a bad scenario, and right now it is.
And what I like that you said was there would be a couple points throughout the process where, I don't wanna say we'd stop, but we'd have that ability to kind of take a step back, evaluate, make sure we're spending the money properly, we're doing it the right way, we're considering residents, borough employees, police department, all of our public safety responders.
All of those, yep. Yeah, I mean, that's just kind of baked into what we do day in, day out, you know, and that with working with municipalities like yourselves, you know, we expect that kind of challenging exchanges and pull our sleeves up and get things done. So, I think we have a great opportunity. Anna's numbers were better than I thought they were gonna be. So.
That's why we're in such good shape.
No, it's they're literally half of what we're all talking about.
So thank you, Mark, it was a great presentation. I do encourage any residents, including anyone watching, to email myself with questions. I can get direct answers from Mark or you know, Mayor Carr. You know, again, we wanna be able to answer questions, we wanna be able to support it, and you know, we are in general asking for the public support on this. We think, I personally believe that this will be a very solid investment into the future now and 20 to 30 years from now for the borough.
There's a question here on the balance.
Yes, Alice Cullopy, Speedwell Avenue. mindful of the vote that came about in the referendum, I took advantage of the tour, and I hope all of you in this room have taken advantage of it, not to put the chief on extra duty, but if you don't get a chance, you haven't gotten a chance to take the tour of the facility downstairs, please do so. Safety is absolutely necessary. The safety of the victims, the safety of the defendants, both male and female in the same room, the safety of our police officers. I asked if the glass was bulletproof, it is not. So safety is absolutely important. We far too often in this country hear about, well, it's not gonna happen here, and I don't want it to happen in Morris Plains. But the downstairs facility, the downstairs facility is abysmal. And if you haven't taken the tour, I'm sure Mike will jump on and give you a tour. There are detectives in an office with 4 desks. There are defendants who are in the same room, male and female. There's 1 bathroom. The Sally Port is abysmal. And I'm not dissing Morris Plains or the Morris Plains Police Department, it's the facility. If you walk into that building in an open house, you wouldn't put a bid on it. So please, take advantage of the time that you have and look at this facility. Our police officers deserve better. Our victims and defendants deserve better. And thank you very much.
I can use my principal voice. I was in Wharton.
Just your name and address,
Oh,
please.
Terry Mangarviti, Janeway Place, everybody knows where I am. I was in
Need it
Wharton.
for the record.
Just for the record, I was in Wharton when Morris Hills did their big renovation. Okay, Ernie Colestis was the superintendent then, I got to know him really well. Ernie's mantra was, do it right the first time. Because you know the town is going to grow, so I like the 2-story thing because if you don't do it now, it's only gonna get more expensive in the future, you know? And Ernie's prognosis came true. I mean, Morris Hills population exploded and it was wonderful that they did it right the first time.
Thanks, Terry. Mike, do you have anything?
Yeah, I have one question. So as some of the residents saw today, Academy Place was a very interesting location today because between the work the post office was doing and also a water main break. So I want to be very cognizant to the impacts that this is going to have for the residents in the area. I don't know if we touched on the project duration for any of the phases. I think we had like 5 phases up there. We'll probably have between 3 and 5, but if you can give them around 12 to 18 months, 18 to 24 months, or
You're closer to 12. You're more than 12
Okay.
timeline. I gotta qualify that. If we open up walls and find things that we don't want to find, that could be right? Availability of materials is a very big challenge right now. Electrical equipment has an insanely long lead time. So there are some things, that's kind of what I was alluding to before, not only with just the broad range of costs, but there's some factors that are out there right now in the world, you know, material wise, et cetera, that will influence the path forward of the project. They will. You know, we gotta try to strategically, you know, think about those things. You do your best to plan for them, and then you move ahead, you know. I think it's definitely, Dave thinks it could be done, you know, maybe a little bit less than 12 months. I would budget for 12.
Let's say 12.
I would budget for the 12. To manage the expectations properly,
Just to clarify, that's the 9 to 12 months when you dig,
from breaking ground.
Not from now or whenever.
No, yeah, not from now, yes. As I said before, look, the design process, if we move smoothly, at a good pace, all of our checkpoints work, and we're good financially, that's probably about a 6-month process. Bidding it, probably gonna be another 2 months, right, at least. So, you know, you could be thinking about, look it's always great to bid public work projects in January, right? Contractors looking to line up their work for when spring hits. It's great, timing wise, it's great, quite frankly. You know, I mean, bid it in December, January into February, contractors lined up, let's not have a harsh winter, let's, you know, and then breaking ground in the spring.
So I know that we have talked, but while we're on this subject, one of the things that I was gonna bring up, you know, we have a short window here, kind of, I would say, to get something prepared for the end of the year, right, for bid in January. And your timeframe, not moving the pond, you know, is really pushing that, correct?
Yes. Yes.
Can you
Sorry,
explain
yes,
that
yes.
timeline too?
Sorry?
Can you explain this timeline?
I mean, look, we would, you know, we're ready to prepare a proposal for you, you know, for either one of these paths, you know, and then review it, all those kind of things. This takes a little bit of time. But, you know, I know there's consideration to at least, you know, formally initiating that process tonight. You know, we can get going, I've already got that paperwork underway for you, you know, for your review, John. So if you opt to move forward, we can get that ball rolling. In terms of like really actually like getting at the work, June 1st. You know, I mean, like by the end of the month. You know, I mean, I mean you have other sessions where you need to formally decide what the path is, right? So that's kind of like that'll be the trigger. We can get ahead of that so we can get the ground running.
Quick statement, I just want to echo what Alice said. Our police department shines, but that's like a museum down there. I've been on the fire department for 29 years. Excuse me. Whether we had a drill or a big fire and there was extra food, we'd call down, see if they're available. I had brought food down there for many years with our dispatchers at the time. It's very antiquated. It's much needed. Just want to make sure, you know, I brought the first presentation that Chief gave us, but the processing room, holding cell, Sally Port, you know, the size that is so limited now. Are you comfortable, Chief, that this renovation will provide the, you know, the safety for the officers and the defendants and the bad actors are good?
Yes.
Okay, and then I know the locker room didn't sound like there was just some renovations. I know that we've painted some mold over the years. That'll be all kind of addressed with that renovations.
Correct, yes.
But yeah, I know the glass door onto the holding cell and the dangerous
And
doors.
the new doors, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
that's all right.
I'm glad I found this because it, you know, reminded me how, I've been down there so many times, but it just brought back the needs. So, you know, so I just want to make sure that's like Paul said, we're not just putting a Band-Aid on a bigger cut that's going to be bleeding later on. But you feel comfortable with the.
Absolutely.
I know that we've talked, but maybe you could reiterate too, the sentiment of the whole department and the officers that were involved with this process with you. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
I mean, we really had initially with our first architect, we did a whole, you know, study for the, you know, pretty much every staff member on, you know, what needs were, what spatial requirements were, to now where we convened in November of 2025 to, but not just myself again, because I have my 25 years in, so, you know, that could change here, but there's an investment from all of my staff, from, you know, the next ranks down to lieutenants, into the sergeants, and the patrol force, and we can engage with them and showing them the space. So, not only is it a need as far as, accreditation standards, Department of Corrections, juvenile justice standards, there's a morale component to this, right? This lifts the spirits of your staff. I mean, bar none, they are phenomenal police officers and they care very much for this community, but this just does that one thing where they're happy to walk in the back door and see investment that this community is gonna make in them to, you know, again, we're very lucky, right? We've climbed from 17 to 19 officers in a short period of time under my tenure as chief, but we wanna retain people, right? We wanna bring them into a facility that is not only safe, but welcoming and, you know, state of the art. And that does that. That attracts clients to the point where, you know, when I took the exam 25 years ago, there was 450 people that sat down for 2 positions. And now we're getting 40 and 50 to do those things. But, you know, you do something like this and it adds value to the staff that apply for these roles and these positions. And I say it every time we swear a new officer in, right? My responsibility is to return their son or daughter safe to them. I can hardly say with this plan, we do that. We take steps to mitigate those risks to the officers. So very satisfied with Mark's work and how we've, again, responsive to the community, right? We went out and engaged in these transparent, like I spoke with it, you know, every meeting I had the opportunity to go to public sessions. You know, again, that's why we brought you all here tonight, because we want to hear that responsiveness, much to Alex's point. You want to come see the facility again? Email me, call me. I'll show you what we work with 24/7, 365. So we're very satisfied with where we've come to and being responsive to tightening the belt a little bit and bringing back down that cost value while still getting, you know, the must-haves that Mark indicated.
A lot of my questions are already asked, but I can say that I think I attended both of your presentations, because one at the community center, one at Borough School, and then I came to the tour. And I'm just curious, how many people in the borough do you think reached out to you or took the list off your desk downstairs to see what was involved with this project and what they needed to do it before the vote took place?
Maybe 100 to 150 between the engagements with you know, our 2 public presentations and then you know, various meetings virtually and in person, and then as well as, you know, we're at the farmers market engaging with people, so we probably, you know, touched with, you know, 100 to 150 residents.
Yeah, because I know I was a little disappointed at the turnout to those events, but I mean, I know people are busy. And then I looked at the results of the vote, and it looks like that 3,188 residents answered that question. So that's about half, you know, half of our voting population, I guess, maybe more, so maybe 6,500. Yeah, maybe kids. Right. So, you know, it's a pretty good number, and I think 59.3% said no, and 40.7% said yes to the project. But, you know, of the yes votes, 1,298, a fraction of those actually saw what was needed here. And like now I'm out there talking to voters because they're running for, you know, election, and what people are saying is that they don't understand what the needs are. Like they voted on this project, but either they did because they support the police and understand that there might be needs, or they voted no and they don't think we need it. So I think there's still a lot of, and I think that's why the council was desirous of having this public meeting and making sure we ask questions and making sure we educate people, because people don't understand how we're planning to spend their tax dollars. And that's super important, so I really appreciate the time that went into this. And I know for me, like, I was not involved in the committee, so a lot of this stuff is new to me, this second phase of what we're talking about, this new plan that we're looking at here. So for me to have a real comfort level, and I know we don't have the answers now, but I need to understand what the project phases are. You mentioned the phases, and I know that there are phases in the architectural process as well, like we just did the conceptual, and that gives you some information, and then you next do schematic. I talked to Dave Schultz, and this was all new to me, so I had to Google it and find out. So schematic gets you a little closer to a projected budget and impact on operations, and maybe a little closer to understanding how it's going to impact our staff here during the renovations, how it's going to impact the public who needs to come here for services. So that's the next step, schematic, right? And then there's another step before you can go to
Design development comes next.
Design development gives you more detail, right? More research goes into that. And then even that's not finished before you go to this. There's one more phase. So at any one of those phases, conditions in the world could change. Our, you know, budgets, who knows what could happen, right? And we could put the brakes on. So I know that was mentioned, but I just want, for my comfort level, to clarify that we'll be taking this one step at a time, and there will be opportunity to like have approval gates throughout.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And as we go, we'll get a more clearly defined scope and everything like that, okay. And I think also that will help Hannah give a little more detail on, you know, the impact of the budget as we go through the year and things like that, and see what these costs are gonna look like. And also, maybe we'll have more, idea of what grants might be available to help fund some of the project as well. I'm very interested in operational continuity, so at what phase would we have more information about that? Design, the next phase?
For, just explain a little further, if you
So,
would.
you know, just what we have the situation today with the parking next door because of the whole parking lot's gone. And I came to the borough a couple times this week and there was limited parking, so the people that wanted to go to the post office were parking here. So I'm just trying to understand like how all of that's gonna work, where we're gonna still provide services without disruption. So when will we have more information about how our workflows will be affected?
You know, it's a tough question to answer,
Okay.
frankly. But as we continue to build that documentation, literally, you know, it starts like to your point, this was very concept level, right? You know, take half of these slides away because half are dedicated to one scheme and the other, you know, this is like 10 sheets, right, 10 drawings. When we get to construction documents, it's probably 200. You know, so it's just, there's this exponential growth of documentation with all the detail that goes along with that. So it grows, as you pointed out, throughout those three phases.
So, just, there was a slide here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So,
Yes.
you know, they move around the building.
So those were the phases.
And that was just, that's our best shot. That's our best guess at it.
Okay, so.
Our best guess of how a contractor would move through the building and still be able to operate.
I see.
See, we gotta try to come up with something, that we build into the documents, because if you dictate how a contractor's gonna do their work, it affects their price.
Right.
Good or bad, right? Like, even contractors don't wanna be told, like, coming out of the gate, this is how you're gonna do it.
Yeah.
But the documents will be thorough enough that it shows how you need to coexist, right? You guys don't get in their way, they don't get in your way. That's a dance that, you know, we have to figure out once the contractor's on board.
And then, I think we have a couple of council members who this is the first time they're seeing this presentation too, and I think it's important that we have consensus, a solid consensus here, because even us, there might be leadership changes in the next year, and so to make sure that it's part of educating the public, to keep them coming along with us on this journey, so that we know that there's gonna be support throughout the length of this project as it goes on, not just today, you know, but next year as well, and 2 years down the road. So that, I think, is gonna be part of the education and ongoing dialogue, and coming from a strategic communications background, I think that what we're doing here is important, but I also think that there's a lot of people who don't even know that we're reconsidering renovations, and I think that we need to make a plan, a strategy for how we're gonna get some information out to the public to let them know why we're pursuing this, and why it's important. And public safety is number one in this town, I can tell you. It's number one, everybody wants to live in a safe community, no doubt. So it's not a heavy lift to do that, but we just need to have a strategic plan for how we're gonna make sure that in all of our communication platforms, we're talking about this. So that it's open and transparent. And then the other question that finally, sorry to take the time, is the resolution itself that I'm seeing for the first time. Is it giving the green light for all of the next phases of architectural plans, or is it just giving the next phase, which is the schematic design?
So my hope, and like we've talked about, is putting him on board to move forward. And like he said, or everybody else that we've talked about, if we have to put the brakes on, we have to put the brakes on. I don't know if at every phase he's gonna come back, you know, and ask for, well, should I move on to the next phase, should I move on to the next phase? I think it all ties together. He can talk to that a little bit, but it all ties together. I don't think you can do a phase, wait, do a phase, wait. I think it has to be kind of a fluid motion that we're able to control.
I mean, it's best that we kind of keep moving to hit the kind of like the desired bidding timeline I discussed.
Yeah.
But as you pointed out, there could be any number of different things that occur between right now and Thanksgiving. Right? You know, that's just in my mind, that's kind of like, I'm going 6 months in my mind out that way. And literally the contract does say, I need formal approval from you to move to the next phase. It's just
Okay,
the state of
it
the
doesn't say
contract
that
language.
here, so I was just kind of, I wanna see those approval dates that I mentioned somewhere in this, along this process.
Well, that'll be in the proposal.
Yeah, it will, it will.
Okay.
Yeah, all that will be
It's
outlined.
not here, but it's in the contract.
That would be in the contract. The timelines, all those kind of things. The costs broken down by each of those phases, all that is in.
So I would just want the council to consider whether it's smart to go forward passing a resolution like this tonight before we've at least made some outreach to the public to tell them that we're doing this. Because we had the presentation tonight, but they didn't know what the presentation was going to, what the result of it was going to be. So I think a lot of people are here, but there's probably a lot of people who will watch this video in the next week or so, understand what's going on, and if they don't have that opportunity to at least feel that they've been informed before we move forward, I would not feel comfortable. So we have another meeting later this month. I would just like to see us take some time in the next couple of weeks to put something out there and let people know, hey, watch the video of this meeting. Hopefully it's recorded well and all that goes well. And just to make an effort to have people know what's going on.
This is my first time seeing this, as you all know. This is my first meeting. Thank you so much for your presentation. It was very informative. Thank you, Chief, for all your hard work on this. Being that this is my first time, I have talked to some of the public as just a regular civilian about these plans. And I've heard a lot of times that people mention, what happens if we just continue to not comply? And maybe this question has been asked before. But what happens if we just keep it how it is? Do we get fined? I know the officers are not safe, which is a huge concern of mine, but that's just something that the people have been saying. Why don't we just keep it how it is? What is the big deal? How much does it cost to the town?
Yeah, I mean, I can inquire about, that's never the question that I wanna ask is what do we do if we don't comply? I can certainly feel that conversation out to see where it goes.
Don't knock on that door, Mike.
But again, to your point, something that I expressed throughout all of our presentations and through our open houses, was again, going back to your other point about the officer safety, the public safety, the safety of our defendants. And I'm big into mitigation of risk and limiting borough liability, right? So what happens when we've engaged in these things and you can see the continued, we're getting a waiver, we're getting grandfathered, we're getting wavered. When something happens here, I would hate to say that the dollar value of some type of
Incident.
legal action would be well beyond the $5 million mark when you're talking about, I was hurt in a facility because the officers were this close to me and there's a desk and we filled that processing room space with filing cabinets and I haven't ventured down that road because I hate to ask a question and beg that situation where like, oh yeah, you've been getting these waivers for now 25 years. When my first chief of police tried components like this, but again to the other side of that, mitigation of risk and liabilities. What's the cost if we don't do something? Is it greater than the value of this project? So I can't answer all those questions.
Thank you for that. If the construction happens and you guys are kind of moving around, are there rules you must follow to stay compliant during construction?
Yes. So right now, say we were dealing with an arrest a couple of days ago. We have a plan in place we were the neighbors in Hanover Township during the summer when their air conditioning broke and you can't store somebody in a holding cell and it's pushing 100 degrees. So we have a handshake agreement with them that we can go access their processing facilities and process our prisoners there. So then I worry about, okay, what happens when we take evidence into custody? Okay, yes, what do? We have a storage facility either off-site or that gets cameras and alarms. So there's processes built in place already, right down to initial thoughts with when we do the phasing of like where are my officers going to change when they're coming on and off of duty, and all those things, and we have again with the phasing of that, we have that concept kind of penciled in, but I have an idea of what we can do to minimize the impact on our staff while still providing the services that we have to.
Thank you, and it sounds like this has been a lot of work for you, so I just wanna say thank you for the town of Forest Plains for all your hard work and really trying to think of the officers and the people of Forest Plains, so thank you.
It's been a labor of love.
Yes, I appreciate it.
And frustration.
Mark, just thank you for all the work you've done. Chief, thank you for the work you've done, and Tyler and Mike, part of the committee. I do think this is a good step forward. A lot of my questions were already asked. I do agree with Councilwoman Berger that I do think we need more public input on it. I think that, just to be specific, the resolution does say two-story addition. I do think that we should garner more public input on that before we make a decision to move forward on it. As far as my question goes, during this process, I know largely we were focused on obviously the improvements that are needed to the police department. Correct me if I'm wrong. There's an audit that's done. Is it every year, every couple of years about how the police department operates? And I think last year it was mostly compliant, but there were certain things that were missing that weren't even included in that report. Am I recalling that correctly, Chief?
I mean, there's several evaluators and auditors that come through. Department of Corrections is for adult detainees. Juvenile Justice Commission was just in last week, and while we have, again, we meet their standard because we have a place to store juveniles that isn't in a place that a door can be locked. You can't have a juvenile in a room with a door that can have a lock on it. So it has to be a free-flowing door, a handle that can't be locked. They have to have freedom of movement. Where do we do that? We do that in the lobby. Back in the day when kids held house parties, they don't do that anymore, so I think they do it virtually. But we used to have 10, 12 juveniles up here in the chambers so we could ensure their freedom of movement. So it's the lobby or somewhere we want to do that, or in our defunct communication center. So yeah, we're navigating ways to do that, but again, at what risk are we doing those things? So Department of Corrections is another story about you need to be able to pull your vehicles into the sally port. Well, if you've been to our sally port, with a larger size SUV, take the doors open on the car to get a defendant in and out. So we're processing defendants through the overhead door and then locking the door. So we've made some tweaks here and there. The outside overhead door is supposed to come down, and the interior door is supposed to open, separate from one and the other, so they can't escape. Dual, like the quasi man trap. We fixed that, but it still doesn't affect the fact that I can't get a car into there to do that operation. So, like I said, we nipped and tucked where we could and made some changes, but yeah, we're.
So what you're saying, what I hear you saying is that we figured out a way to be compliant, but it's definitely not the most efficient way or the safest way for people to be, for us to be compliant.
I mean, yeah, essentially yes.
Yeah, okay. So while we did focus a lot on the police department, right, I'll say a third to half of this building is the fire department, right? Was any input garnered from the fire department on this? Like, were their needs considered? Do they have any needs that we know of? I mean, if we're spending close to $6 million, upgrading the building, if they have needs that things that they need to do, that to me would seem logical to incorporate that. So was that
Was not part of the assignment.
Okay.
I mean, we kind of took our marching orders from where we went, right? We started at what was 7 and change, so we evaluated $8 million, and we're like, well, if we're spending 8, do we add? And that was just on site with department needs, and some like, oh, if we're gonna do this, let's take a serious look and do some serious growth in the department. And then we're like, well, if we're gonna spend 8. What would it be to add a bay to the fire department? We looked on, Route 53 at that property to have the space to add the bay, and that's when we got to the 12 million. But then we go back to our public question where we're like, we think the public wants us to really, streamline this project, cut back on the financial impact, just to get, specifically what we need. And the idea that, again, I love the fact that I can look out my window and see Barrow School. I love that fact. If the fire alarm goes off, I'm the first person to hear it. You know, I'm generally, if something happens, I'm coming across the street. So I love our footprint here. I love our home here. And to Mark's point earlier in the presentation, like this is Speedwell Avenue, and the front of the building screams, you know, this is where the police department is. This is where the municipal building is. So let's, you know, stay home here on site and, you know, try to figure what we can do on this footprint with just a little addition at the back.
Sure. And I understand it wasn't part of the assignment. Tyler, maybe more to you, public safety chair. Was that was that part of the consideration, the fire department?
Definitely when we were looking at the plans last year, we were trying to incorporate the extra bay. I know when the budget came up this year, I was pushing for the, you know, the pole barn offsite that wasn't supported. As far as the on-site renovations here, not as much, mainly again because with the money being spent or the sort of cap that we have, it wasn't really possible. I would like to incorporate that if I'm being asked, but that's gonna bring the budget up to where ultimately the people said they didn't have an appetite for it. So that's our conflict, is we can't do it all without spending the money and having people get upset about
So
it.
do they have needs that we just can't meet because we don't have the budget for it?
We need an extra bay.
Okay.
So there's some chiefs here, if they wanna jump in, I'd be happy to
I
hear
didn't
and
wanna put
listen,
them on
but
the
I
spot.
know we do need, we soon will need an extra bay. Which was why we looked into that for the offsite location, because it wasn't as much of a possibility here. I mean, in time, as we've said, could we look at adding a bay on here? Possibly. I think it's potentially worth considering now, again, I mean, I don't know what the cost would be to add it into the plans and look at it, but to my knowledge, a bay will be needed in the future. If not this year, future.
And then well, the chief walked out, but maybe Mark, you and Tyler could speak to kind of where do they go? Are they and I'm not just talking about, you know, the officers here, right? We obviously have staff up here, you know, that are impacted as well. So where do they go during that process? I mean, I think it was floated before that they kind of move around as they go. That's very disruptive to their workday. So is there a plan around that?
So I can answer the.
Go ahead.
So we did talk about renting space, we talked about an office trailer where they could move around. Mike had some ideas, we had parking, off-site parking as well, we need some space for off-site parking. Let's go ahead.
I mean, our focus was on the renovations to the PD. Some of the disruptions that I spoke to are sound. I mean, you know, there's going to be jackhammers, you know, there's going to be structural steel. It's loud, you know, I mean, at times, it's not continuous. You know, so I think, you know, to Councilwoman Berger's point, you know, the messaging is critical here, you know, and that messaging is going to need to be something that starts tonight and goes throughout the duration of the project. You know, I mean, as long as people, you know, we don't like surprises, right? We don't like surprises. You know, so the more that we can be transparent and communicate the issues or the potential issues, it just will be a successful project. It won't be perfect. There's no perfect construction project. I can guarantee you.
Yep, you're right about that.
They're not, you know, but if there's a focus on us all working together, cooperating, you know, and being clear to the public, we'll get there. We'll get there. You know, I can't speak for the, like, you know, it's the sound. It's like, you know, I think if folks that are in the building are aware that there could be, you know, loud activities this week, you know, you can work around those things. You can plan for it. I don't have that solution. I'm not the architect. You know, I get that's kind of like a, you know, it's an administrative, or it's a, you know.
Sure. But I would imagine that would have to be part of the plan, and, you know, I mean, were those costs included in that estimate? I'm guessing probably
We
not.
did include the
We did.
cost for
Okay.
a temporary trailer.
You did, okay.
For the, like a flex office trailer.
Okay.
For the borough.
Okay.
Generic office, plug and play, you know, the idea was like, it's just gonna be like 10 space, right?
Sure.
And the different departments may need to move in or not. And, you know,
It's not gonna be a total disruption for everybody in the entire 1 week, like you said, maybe the locker room, we might have another plan for everybody to change. Another month or a week or whatever, you know, maybe the clerk's office, if they break through a wall or something, you know, they have a group, so it wouldn't be everybody all at once, which is certain.
Yeah, I mean,
And everything would remain functional.
anybody who's, well, of course, right, government would stay functional, but anybody who's ever worked in an office where there's construction going on, right, it's not, space, not just a week, right, it takes them time to move their, right, but it takes time for them to move their stuff out, to get situated, move back in,
It's
so.
gonna be inconvenient, but it's certainly doable.
Sure, I'm just concerned about, this is their office space, this is where they have to work, so we'll just make sure that we're communicating that and considering their opinions when we're doing this, right? Understanding that, that they have needs and they need to work as well, to keep this going. That's all the questions I have, thank you.
I could just say, I like this project better than the other one. The financial stability at this time is appealing right now. We did put the resolution on here just in case, but if the council desires, then push it off for another, for the next meeting, that would be fine, but getting into the ground by next spring, late spring or early summer, that process is gonna have to start here soon. So we've been going through this now for over a year, I think, right? It's over a year of the process to start, or a year and a half probably by now.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people are aware of what's going on, not everybody for sure, so. But that outreach probably is a good thing, but the second floor on here, that was proposed, I think is a good idea for the future. We're at this point, why not just go up here for the extra space? The borough's gonna need it eventually, in my opinion, down the road. So I think this covers everything that is needed in the police department, not everything that is wanted down there by any means, or anybody in this building. I'm sure the clerk's office would want something, or this office may want something, but, I think this is really specific for the police department right now, and fulfilling their needs for growth and safety, and, meeting the requirements that they need to, so, I hope this moves forward, for the police and for the borough, and for, everybody in this building, all of our employees, so, it's a good addition moving forward.
We'll continue to share as much as possible on our social media pages, and that's kind of like our hardest thing, right? Is like putting all these things out there and getting the turnout that we did at our public meetings, and we'll continue. And again, I will make the department open as much as people want to come and investigate what we have downstairs, and ask questions of me. I mean, I'm going to give it out later in the meeting when we talk about a topic we're looking for input on, but I'll give you my office phone number out in public, and it's on the website. I'm certainly an open book here, and I think, ever since we started this project, it's been about, transparency, and as I climbed to the rank of chief, it's always been about, with my budget at least, is working with Anna and Valerie's insight about being a good steward of taxpayer dollars. I don't ask for things that I don't need, and that the department doesn't need, so we're trying to do that with this, but, please, we're an open book downstairs as much as we can be, but certainly welcome to come hang out with us anytime. That's one of the reasons why we investigated invested the idea of ride-alongs with the public. Come live a day in the life of our police officers, and it's, everything we do is kind of multi-purpose, right? We're trying to attract more candidates to the position, show them the role of law enforcement, whether they accept the role with us or with somebody else. But but then at the same time, come walk a mile in the boots of the police officer that has to come in every day and deal with our conditions.
I'd like to make a motion that we spend the next few weeks communicating outward. I'm not asking us to do any surveys or anything like that, but just to try to communicate with the public. That we table this resolution until the next meeting. We'll have time to look at the language, which is right now asking for a second story, and then we'll come with consensus at the next meeting and maybe move forward at that time for the vote.
You speak up, please.
So we'll have two resolutions ready for the next meeting, one for two-story and.
Well, I would prefer that we take a voice vote of which one we would request PSNS to create the proposal for, because the way that this is currently written is that the mayor and clerk are hereby authorized to execute any documentation, and I'm not comfortable passing the resolution to receive the proposal.
So I think, Ms. Ferger, you actually put a motion on the floor.
I did.
Can't hear you.
Can't, yeah.
This is just, it's just.
Speaking of the mic.
It's just like an quote,
Yeah, just to be respectful.
because this is essentially a blank check.
So, repeat your question.
Is this resolution giving the clerk and mayor authority to sign the contract that the council does not see?
No, not necessarily, no. I understand the point. It doesn't do a blank check to do everything from going forward without council approval. But what it
So is
would,
there an intermediate step where we all have to approve it?
there would be multiple intermediate steps. What the language of that resolution is, it's a broad brush, and maybe down the road, if the mayor and clerk decide something, they have that approval, but they can't do things legally with this resolution without first securing your consent. So, I'm sorry, Ms. Berger I believe you put a motion on the floor to not move forward with the resolution today, is that correct?
Yes,
Okay.
to table this resolution at least until the next meeting.
And then that motion has to be seconded, and I'll second that,
Okay, so, but we'll have a,
You have to wait until it's part.
yeah.
So we get to
The resolution.
It's in 14, so, yeah, you gotta wait.
Thank you very much, we appreciate your time.
Thanks,
Bob.
Anytime.
Moving forward to, anybody else have anything for conference?
I have a couple quick questions. Okay. Somebody asked about the lighted crosswalk that was approved through the DOT grant. Is that on hold? Is it time waiting?
We're just waiting for them to come and do it, it's all been approved, and Mike's been in contact with Sylvia, or whatever her name is.
Siobhan.
Siobhan, so.
Yeah, we're, this is the Speedwell Avenue, flashing beacon.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're just waiting on additional information from DOT, and there's some connection to, proposed project, at 415 Speedwell, right, connection to where that crosswalk would go, and what would be the responsibility of the borough, because that, proposed project does include that crosswalk work there, so that was kind of delaying the borough's impact, or, the 25-75 cost share to add the lighted beacon at the southernmost crosswalk, so
Oh, so those are related now?
they are related, they are connected, yes,
So you won't know until that's resolved.
correct.
Okay, that's helpful. The question about we signed a voucher for the landscape architect for Idlewild Park, phase one, $7,000. So that's phase one. What else are we looking at with architects for that? What's next?
So that's just a preliminary, it came out to look at, the engineers came out. We did have a presentation the other day, not all the information is available. He did not have all the information available, but in his contract, I forget how many sections, or how that was broken down, three payments, I think it was broken down. I think it was 3 payments that were broken down, so that's just the first payment of 3. Bill?
Yeah, so on the agenda tonight is discussion on draft updated checklist for land use ordinance. So the entire council has gotten copies of documents that we've been working on for a better part of I would say over a year. And when I say we, that's myself, the chair of the planning board, Mike Caravaggio, Dave Schultz, who's the former chair of zoning board of adjustment, and Bill Ryan. And the purpose of the documents is to, as I've been saying for a while, is to update our checklist process. Currently, it's just to put it simply, it's antiquated, and it doesn't meet all the needs of today. Meaning specifically, it's not easy to use. It's not online. It doesn't make it easy for residents or applicants to find. So, as I've been saying for many, many months, that's what this document does. So what you have in front of you is I'll say a final draft that's going in front of the planning board it's incorporated, I'll say a lot of their comments. And I'm happy to discuss it tonight, but what I really like is for y'all to kind of take it away, come back with some other comments or questions that you might have. And then we can incorporate that into the final version of the document. Like I said, it does, the planning board is going to look at it again at their next meeting. Hopefully, we can all agree on a final document at that point, and then we'll present it to the council formally. So what you have, I'd like to try to gather any council comments in conjunction with that. So if you have any questions about it, I'm happy to answer them or take notes. But that's what the item is. That's it. That's all I had to do.
Yes, I just wanted to check in and see, Recreation has submitted their summer employee hourly rates, if everybody's received that, and if there's any questions regarding Recreation's recommendation for the summer camp hourly rates and the pool rates.
I did not see the summer camp, I saw the pool.
It was, I emailed it to everybody this morning.
It's at the top of that
This
sheet.
is the top one.
Summer employee council hourly rate. I took a look at it. I don't have any questions with it. I think that the proposed increases align with state minimum wage increases, which I think is good. I've made the statement before in prior council meetings when we've had this subject come up that I think offering minimum wage is bare minimum. I don't think it makes us competitive. I do think that we need to offer a little bit more for an hourly rate, just to make us competitive and keep these seasonal employees coming back. But that being said, I do think that the numbers that you put forward here, I think they make sense.
Just so everybody is aware, camp has increased their budget in certain areas to cover any increases in minimum wage, same with pool. So everything should be covered and not an expense at all to any taxpayer. Nope, just this.
I just have, just two things. I don't know if you're gonna touch on this, maybe I'll wait for this. So just, this is the Teachers Appreciation Week, so really, I know we didn't sign up here for the teachers, but really, all the teachers that are over at the schools here in North Point, high students, and students, we really appreciate them, and what they do for really our biggest asset for our kids, so thank you to them. And I just learned today that this is the 57th annual week that we're supposed to recognize clerks and deputy clerks. I never realized that before until today. And you didn't tell me. Christian's our deputy, and he's featured in the newspaper that Sal did the article on, and George Ray is our newest clerk here, so the previous one retired, and I think they're both doing an excellent job here. So we appreciate everything that you do, almost everything that goes on in the borough goes through that office. So we thank you for that. Okay, moving forward to approval of minutes, Mr. Bloom.
I, Councilmember Maroon, move the minutes of April 15th to be adopted.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Nancy. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained?
Abstained.
Abstained, Tyler abstained, Bill and Kelly abstained. Yes.
I said abstain.
Yep, you're good. Nope, you're good.
Good job.
Get it right.
Yes, you did fantastic on your first vote. Round of applause.
Approval of consent agenda reports. These are for March 2026. Borough clerk, animal licensing, building inspector, treasurer, tax collector. And for April 2026, the grant writer and the police department. Resolution 2026-64 entitled Resolution Approving the Issuance of Soil Disturbance Permit. Resolution 2026-65 entitled Resolution Authorizing the 2026 Morris County Trail Construction Grant Application. Resolution 2026-66 entitled Redemption Resolution Block Number 196.07, Block Number 1, redeem third-party tax lien number 24-00002. Resolution 2026-67 entitled Resolution to Authorize the Change in Custodian of Petty Cash Fund, Jamie Cooper. Elizabeth Fetich, 1 Sanford Court, be granted permission to hold a block party on Sanford Court Saturday, June 20th, 2026, with the rain date of Sunday, June 21st, 2026 at from 2:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. The DPW will provide the necessary barricades. Having received quotes for the 2026 Family Day events, rides from the following: Party Perfect Rentals LLC for $15,605.00. VIP Party Rentals for $19,385.00. And Party Time Rentals for $25,945.40. That a purchase order be issued to Party Perfect Rentals LLC, 312 Sponkin Yellow Brick Road in Farmingdale, New Jersey, for the amount of $15,605.00. Have received quotes to remove the caulk grout and install sealant on joints for the community park pool from the following: Infinite Solutions Group LLC for $12,500.00. Luigi O'Perry Landscaping and Masonry LLC for $8,000. That a purchase order be issued to Luigi O'Perry Landscaping and Masonry LLC, 24 Early Street, Morristown, in the amount of $8,000. Gia, she's Jello, the Italian Testament.
Michelle, we need them.
Be hired as chief secretary pending successful completion of the background check at an annual salary of $52,000, effective May 11, 2026, per week. Community Park Pool employees attached be hired for the pool season at the position salary and date started for 2026 season. The employment of Johanna Salima, teen center supervisor, shall be amended to leave without pay stacks. The Borough Council approved the membership application of Shane M. Policano, 39 Northview Drive, Morris Plains, as a member of the Morris Plains Fire Department pending background check approval. Paul Flexner, NG Card Club, be granted permission to serve alcohol beverages at an annual picnic on September 19th, 2026, from 9 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. at Community Park Pavilion. Mark Dean, 40 Sylvan Drive, be granted permission to serve alcoholic beverages at a picnic on October 10th, 2026, from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. at Community Park Pavilion. Have received quotes to fill the expansion joints at Community Park tennis courts from the following: Green Valley Group, Inc., $3,456.00. Ramos Brothers, $6,075.00. AL Services, no quote. That a purchase order be issued to Green Valley Group, Inc., 180 Comic Road in Nanuet, New York, 10954, in the amount of $3,456.00.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Michael. Roll call, please.
Mr. Broom?
Yes.
Mr. Houston?
Yes.
Mr. Ivy?
Yes.
Ms. Hewlett?
Yes.
Mr. Pontier?
Yes.
Ms. Virgo?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to reports of committees and department heads, finance.
Thank you. Okay, the clerk's office prepared March report showing monthly revenue up to $13,597. More than $11,000 of that was for annual parking permits. The auditors were here last week, the week before, gathering information requested, resolutions, ordinances, employee files, vehicle files, bank records, animal licensing reports, everything. Working on that, completed that audit report. And our clerk held a department safety meeting on April 30th in compliance with our liability carrier. They were working on renewing ABC licenses, food establishment licenses, vending machine yearly licenses, and massage establishment yearly licenses. Preparing for the primary election and preparing for already for the Atlantic City annual New Jersey League of Municipalities Conference in November. Tonight, we will hold a public hearing on the budget under finance that was introduced at the April 2nd meeting, after which the council will vote on adoption. A copy of the introduced budget can be found on the borough website under government financials menu. And I want to welcome our Chief Financial Officer, Anna Thomas, who is responsible for financial planning and budget execution and helps prepare the budget for the council. And our municipal auditor, Valerie Dolan from Miso Baccia and Company, who verifies and validates that the financial data behind the budget is accurate and compliant. The CFO also completed the cash reconciliation and tax collector reports, which you saw. And also, please note that the tax assessor changed his weekly office hour from Tuesday at 11 a.m. to Tuesday 1 to 2 p.m. each week. So the website reflects that change. You can make appointments in advance by emailing Scott, or you can drop in. The Green Team met this past Monday and discussed the local government energy audit, which was completed except for streetlights, which are scheduled for next week. They also discussed the dark sky ordinance, which was passed in a neighboring town. If anyone was at the last meeting and saw one of our residents talk about neighborhood lighting being like a glare of an airport runway, these ordinances are designed to make roadways safer because they are less glare to drivers, better quality of life, there's energy and cost savings related to that, and it's also better for pollinators and the environment. So we discussed possibly integrating dark sky lighting principles into the green building checklist, which the planning board will be reviewing and providing some education for residents on this, but not mandating it or anything like that. They're also working on the Morris Plains Energy Insights newsletter, which will talk about community solar, and will be published in the next couple of weeks. That's all, thank you.
Public safety, Mr. Pontier.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening again, everyone. There was a very successful prescription drug take-back on April 25th with the police department. I believe we were second in the county, according to Chief. Want to thank all of our officers.
We don't mention second.
Well, I mean, you know, we
We want to be first.
top three
By
is
1 pound.
respectable. I could have put my hand on the scale. Regardless, just wanted to thank all the officers, prosecutor's office, county officials that were there to support. At least as far as I know Mayor Carr was there, Councilmember Virgo and Ivy stopped by as well. I brought my 2 daughters, and they were very confused what was going on. They love Chief Karofsky, so that's, got to do that.
All the girls do.
But handsome guy. But again, wanted to thank them for that. As read by resolution, Chief Karofsky has officially offered the executive assistant position to a qualified candidate. She will start next week and be able to work and train with Segal over the next 6 weeks to get fully trained and comfortable with the department and daily activities. Just want to welcome her to the community of caring. Due to a small county delay, unfortunately, we will not be able to roll out the CERT team for the Memorial Day parade. The county's pretty laser focused on the FIFA World Cup right now, which technically makes sense. Just so people know, we at a local meeting, they basically are predicting that 2.1 million people will be coming to New Jersey and the Philadelphia area in the June-July sort of time frame for the World Cup. So get ready. There will be a lot of extra people here, and there is planning with all the counties, and all hands will be on deck to keep everyone safe during that time. I met with Councilmember Houston and Chief Karaski this week to start the discussion on the e-bike and scooter ordinance for the borough. I think we came up with some strong ideas that we've started to put down in an ordinance, and Bill's doing a great job of having that come along. Completing Green Streets update, we're working through some comments and concerns. Jim Hunt and I, the co-chair, had a call yesterday to go over everything, so I'm gonna have a call out to a couple people in the next days. The next step would basically to be circulated again to more members of the council and the attorney and be able to get questions, comments, and hopefully get that fully approved in the next, I'd say, month or two would be fantastic. And as always, really just wanted to thank the police department and all of our public safety efforts on days like the Little League Parade opening day, Uncle Frank's fishing contest, forgive me if I misnamed it, the ferry walk opening night, all the parades, family day, today in general was the walk, bike, and roll to school day. Just really wanted to say thank you so much to all the police department, all of our public responders, the fire department. I see you guys at all these events, and I'm not only proud to live here, but I'm proud of the work that you all do. Fire prevention, Chris is out and inspecting like a madman. Last month there was 130 fire prevention items addressed and 22 new apartment inspections. The fire department averaging about 1.5 calls per day. The mini pumper had a small pump delay, so it is not here yet, but I'm told it is in full production, coming along nicely and hopefully set to arrive soon. So as I mentioned last meeting, you can't come, see it and talk to it yet, but we're hoping it's gonna be here soon. And a quick BSC update, which is now the Business Support Committee, updated from the Business Development Committee. I met with Mayor Carr, Councilmember Kulik, and Downtown Morris Plains last week. We discussed a few of their upcoming events and hoping to be able to align on them and also set some goals for the next year. The Business Supports Committee still has some work to do on their own. We are refining our mission statement and goals. But I thought the meeting went really well with Downtown Morris Plains and just wanted to thank them again for all their hard work and collaboration that they do in town. They really do a fantastic job, and I'm very proud of them as well. So that's it for me. Chief, I was gonna say.
I thought he had laryngitis after
I'm talked out. No, just to piggyback on what the Councilman Fontier said. It's been a busy couple of weeks for us for supporting National Walk of Day School today. We're out to enforce, helping the kids cross, as well as doing some extra traffic enforcement. Uncle Frank's fishing contest, ferry walk, Little League, all those things take a lot of planning and resources, and then we're on to the next thing with Memorial Day weekend, our Memorial Day parade, and of course Family Day in June. So we will get our revenge on the prescription drug take back. I blame it on the Uncle Giuseppe's move to Stop and Shop. We'll be okay. We got it next year.
I should say my brick wasn't heavy enough. I need a heavier brick.
As Tyler mentioned, CERT did meet a little delay of my goal of getting our CERT volunteers out for Memorial Day. It was the government shutdown, and then FIFA, and there's county certifications. We are still accepting applications for volunteers to help us. We have a good thing going, and we're looking to use that to support all of our first responders in Morris Plains. At the last council meeting I attended, I did mention that Traffic Committee, along with the Ordinance Committee, is investigating a snow parking ordinance adjustment. I have not received any feedback from the community, so if you'd like your voice heard, especially on your specific street, please, my email address is on the website. You can contact us through Facebook Messenger, or if your pen's handy or you're going to be watching later online, 973-889-1110. 973-889-1110 is a direct line to my office. I'll do anything to take your call. With that being said, the person that will pick up that phone is none other than soon-to-be Gia Cello. Bittersweet, with Segal leaving after 28 years, but we did build in a nice timeline. Thank you for supporting doing that, of letting Segal expand upon the knowledge that G is going to get, condensing 28 years into 6 to 7 weeks of work. I did want to call attention to the e-bike ordinance that we're working on. Again, it's going to craft some of the state legislation into that. But what the state leaves out is e-scooters, so we're trying to focus on that as well. But be mindful of, especially our parents who have teenagers who are riding e-bicycles. As of mid-July, around the 19th, a legislation takes effect where they must be registered, insured, and licensed operators 15 and above. There is a grace period built into that, and I've tasked our staff with doing enforcement and education prior to doing any type of summonses and things. So we'll be putting out some social media posts, trying to get people ready for that July deadline. And again, I think a lot of it comes as a surprise to people. We've seen some feedback that people didn't know. We're trying to push people to the Division Motor Vehicle website. I have a meeting scheduled with a couple local insurance companies. Are they seeing, e-bikes get registered or insured through their offices yet? And I'm doing that later next week. And we'll call attention finally to National Police Week, which starts Sunday. It's not a recognition week like Teacher Appreciation Week or honoring our clerks. This is to honor fallen police officers. So Sunday, May 10th to the 16th, we're honoring all law enforcement officers that gave their lives in the line of duty. Saturday morning, Lieutenant Guild and I leave on a 300-mile bike ride from Fairfield, New Jersey to Washington, D.C. To bring attention to law enforcement officers who made the ultimate sacrifice. So we will be away for a couple of days, but for a very good purpose, and we'll be sure to post some of our videos and pictures. Really heartwarming moment last year when I rode for the first time was bumping into the partner of the officer that I was riding for, killed in line of duty, just a happenstance meeting. Some tears were shed, knowing that police officers do a lot every day, and sometimes they don't make it home. So just take that moment to, or that during the week, to thank a police officer for what they do, or honor those that made the ultimate sacrifice. So that's all I have, unless there's questions, comments, or concerns, and thank you for hearing out PSNS this evening. Appreciate all your support.
Before I get to the chief back, I did go to a human trafficking presentation, I'll say, yesterday and last night with mayors, prosecutor, the sheriff. They are very laser focused on this area. Attorney General was there, so it's a big deal. And just to hear the tip of the iceberg about human trafficking. It's a broad range of different things that are happening out there that frankly I never thought about or heard about. So there is some flyers, I guess bookmarks on a clerk's window on the ledge outside. That's really the only information that I have. But if you see something, say something. There's certainly signs for trafficking and with Uber drivers and all these kind of services now, these tendencies are really ramping up. But I know Morris County is very proactive right now in calming down that situation and really paying attention to what's going on. So I thank them for what they're doing. Chief, do you have anything? Oh, there he is. Hello, everyone. Good evening. Ellie, nice to meet you. Working on it. Oh, little things. We're at the 133 calls for the year, so you're right about it. Yeah, you took all mine. Yeah, the mini pumper is in production. The pump module was delayed. The cab and chassis there and the pump or the bodies assembled. So you just gotta wait for the pump to get there and put it all together. It should be here. Who knows? So I keep saying that. So we've been saying that a lot. Let's see. We did with 20 members go to Bergenfield on the 26th of April to the live burn. Went well. The guys got their training. A lot of fire. The guys tonight go over to Parsippany, Sylvan Drive for a walkthrough with Parsippany District 6. So we'll be working with them. We had I believe it was last Friday night, one of our juniors were out taking a bunting down off the building, and passerby stopped on the ramp, difficulty breathing. Turned out he needed a heavy pen shot, so one of our juniors, his father doesn't mind me saying his name, Patrick Geary, assisted the gentleman with a heavy pen shot and helped him before the ambulance got there. So, and he
received, supposedly, I hear you received that training through, Marsh County Vocational School Technology. Or, him and another junior in the, fire technical. So, they're learning something. I do have to say, you know, we lost one of our members for almost, he was passed away in '89, so, he was almost here for 100 years. I want to thank the mayor and, Art for coming to the, we've been getting a bunch of, paperwork from the children of Al Farm, and, came across this. I'll make copies for you if you want, it's very interesting. It's an agenda from, July 18th, 1974, for our council. I believe Al was on that committee for the fire truck, which was our, Ford Young, which was, issue 4 at the time. It's just a lot shorter than the agendas now, but there's a detail, and on the back, on the second page here, it has the layout of all the council, the clerk, and administrator at the time. So the town did have an administrator back in '74. I don't know when it was expunged, but it was there. So Mayor John A. Wyckoff was the mayor at the time. And Carl Bensler was the engineer. So, if anyone wants a copy, I'll make a copy. I'll leave it here.
Very cool. You should go to the museum or something.
We have stuff. So, that's all. Thank you, Chief. Thank you.
Moving forward to buildings and grounds. Let's get dark. I'm trying to move things along here a little bit, all right? All right, public works.
It's kind of want to welcome Shane Policano. He's a childhood friend of my son's, a neighbor, great family, good kid. You know, as all our members are, but Shane, I welcome him, and I do miss Al. He's a great person, community. He grew up here. His grandfather was here, so a great person, dedicated to the town. Okay, DPW. Our members work daily on our police and DPW vehicles, keep them running strong. They pick up the garbage in all our parks. They installed a path at Walk-On Park for the fair walk time. And Ellie Falco mentioned it last night at the beautification meeting, and you could just see Ellie beaming how excited and happy she was, how successful it was. So she brought pictures, and the kids looked just as happy. I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to see that, but I think the Girl Scouts assisted the younger kids to walk through, but it was really beautiful.
Even the older kids.
Yeah, I really missed that. I like gnomes and all that stuff. So she's planning on doing it again next year and hopefully get some help with it. It was really a very successful event. They started cutting grass, as you probably everybody else who suffers from allergies. They might be contributing to some of the allergies in the air. Fixed some water leaks in the bathrooms and the snack bar from the freezing over the winter. Dropped some topsoil, some hay, did some stump grinding on Stiles Avenue and Central Avenue and Cotton Way. They started repairing some of the basins in town. Included 2 rounds of brush pickup, and they were getting the pool ready with some power washing and repairs and painting, which kind of holds that pool together. And they did a round of street sweeping, which is nice to see that out. It's pretty season. And they ran some generators, cleaned the sewer station 4 times. And just getting on real quick on the beautification committee, they're all great people and very dedicated. They have 22 locations throughout town that they'll take plants from their garden. They say they'll divide the plants and they'll plant them in other areas. They'll grab some from their backyard and they'll share them. So I'm really amazed at their dedication and knowledge of the different plants. Like a little lost when we start talking about it, but they did a train station, a freight station, there's a pollinator garden, a community garden, there's the 202 retaining wall, the annex, the gazebo, the museum, the snack bar. I mean, there's so many locations. Homer Island, the They got Rosie the Riveter section, but they really do a great job. I took some pictures of the tulips that were in front of Snack Bar at Community Park, and it almost looked like it was a picture from somewhere in Europe somewhere. It was just beautiful, all the flowers, and it's really, I'm just very impressed with their work. So we appreciate all their hard work.
Just happen to look at the bushes by the rotary sign there, by Rosie the Riveter.
Holly Bush. Yeah, they mentioned that. I was gonna ask John to take a look at it. Yeah.
I don't think they made it.
They're gonna take a look and then either cut it down or remove it.
As long as they're
Yeah, it's on the list. Thank you. That's all I have.
That's it. Now we'll get to
Now my turn.
Councilwoman Cooley.
Okay, I'm gonna start with, the shade tree. On April 24th at Roberts Garden, the Shade Tree Commission, along with the entire Mountain Way school community, planted a dawn redwood in honor of Arbor Day. It was a fantastic event and all of the students truly enjoyed themselves. Certain students were given the opportunity to have gold shovels and help plant the tree, which made the experience even more special. It was a wonderful event for everyone involved, so a big thank you to the Shade Tree Commission and Mountain Way staff for putting together such a meaningful day for the students and community. An additional thank you to the Morris Plains Police Department for the motorcycle escort and keeping, the kids loved that, by the way, and keeping the students and staff safe as they were able to get outside and walk to Roberts Garden from school this year. A pool update. The DPW has been working hard over at the pool, and we are thankful for this great weather because it has helped everything stay on schedule and repairs are moving along smoothly. The team has stripped all the old paint from the pool and will return to repaint it once the outside contractors complete the sealing of any cracks that were found. We are looking forward to opening day on June 13th. A reminder that pool fees will increase on Friday, May 8th, so be sure to register before then. We do have lots of fun activities planned for this summer, and we can't wait for everyone to enjoy another great season at the pool. Recreation updates. Camp. Registration is open and fees will increase on May 11th. Our camp staff has worked hard to add new programming this year, so be sure to check out all the new enhancements online and register today. Summer staff, counselor, and pool guard interviews have been completed and accepted letters will be sent out once rates are approved by council. Tennis courts. The tennis courts are currently being resurfaced and are estimated to be completed within next week. Senior meeting. The senior meeting is scheduled for this coming Monday at 12 p.m. and will include lunch followed by their meeting. Pickleball lessons. Youth and adult pickleball lessons will begin on May 28th at Watnock Park. Downtown Morris Plains will once again be partnering with the Farmers Market Committee this year for a local business showcase, continuing efforts to highlight and support our local businesses. DMP also has two exciting upcoming 2026 initiatives in the works. A new business wish list community survey aimed at identifying what residents and stakeholders would like to see in town, while also helping attract businesses that would be a great fit for the borough. A brand new restaurant promotion campaign that is expected to launch in August. In addition, DMP is currently working on two separate public art initiatives that are expected to be installed later this year. Thank you for all your hard work, Downtown Morris Plains. Lastly, I will be attending my first parade meeting on May 12th to meet the wonderful parade committee. But from everything I've been told, they are well on track to give the community another fantastic day of celebration and remembrance. Please save the date for the 40th Annual Memorial Day Parade on Saturday, May 23rd. I'm done.
Fantastic, well done.
That was a lot.
Yeah, really.
Great first report. Shorted up a little bit.
Yeah, really. Just piggybacking on Shaky, they did do a spring planting of 21, including that red zone, 21 trees around the borough here in the spring. So thank you to the entire committee over there for taking on that initiative and planting instead of taking them down. It's been the way it's been going lately. Moving forward to public health, sanitation, and sewers, Mr. Ivy.
Thank you, Mayor. For Teen Center, end of the year events are coming up in May. And parent night for the rising sixth graders will be May 14th at the community center at 7:30. It'll go between 7:30 and 9. And a step-up night will follow, future date for the students going into sixth grade to experience a Teen Center event to see if they want to join for the following year. Board of Health, the next meeting will be next Wednesday, May 13th. And like Tyler was saying, the county health office is also planning for FIFA to handle all the people that will be joining Forest County and the surrounding areas. For Municipal Alliance, Family Fitness is scheduled for May 30th at the Community Center. Registration is now open, so please get your spots because things are starting to book up already. And the Stage Fun Performance activity, they're looking for additional volunteers to help in the performance. They're just trying to see if it's going to be either fall or the springtime. But if you are interested, please let me know. I can get you in touch with the right people. And actually, Louise right there, she knows the people who are going to. And lastly, I also have to talk about the ferry walk. So it was about 100 people attended. One thing that I didn't, that nobody else mentioned, is that the houses are going to remain a permanent fixture along the walking path along the little wooded area, kind of near where the train tracks are in the back there. So those are going to be a permanent fixture, and the beautification committee are going to make repairs to the houses as needed. So please take a look. Some of them are very creative. One was actually modeled after the merchant block. So I was very proud of it.
Just one more thing about the tennis courts. They said at the last meeting they were coming the following week, but the weather had delayed them just because of the cold and the wet. So glad to see they're funding that. Ordinances and public utilities.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Okay, so for the month of March, the Annex office processed 7 OPA requests for a total of 6 hours, which brings their yearly total to 25 OPA requests and 20 hours. The construction office issued 35 new permits and collected $6,650 in fees. The permits they issued were 7 for building, 18 for electrical, 19 for plumbing, 1 for fire, and 6 for mechanical. This brings their total issued permits for the year to 62, and their total collected in fees to $13,784. Excuse me, they issued 36 certificates for alterations. They performed 37 building inspections, 54 electrical inspections, 35 plumbing inspections, 7 mechanical inspections, and 5 fire inspections. And that's all in the month of March. For the year-to-date total is 94 building inspections, 119 electrical inspections, 69 plumbing inspections, 12 mechanical, and 26 fire inspections. So it's quite impressive the amount of work they're doing over there. On the planning board did not hear any new applications, but as I mentioned earlier, they did discuss the revised checklist and application process in detail, and they'll be doing that again at the next meeting. Ordinance review, Councilman Pontier and the chief already talked about the e-bike and e-scooter ordinance that we're working on. I just want to reiterate what the chief said is that there is a new New Jersey state law which does take effect July 19, 2026, and that has a lot of information about e-bikes, but where it falls short is e-scooters. And ultimately, it's up to the municipality to fill in these gaps. So that's why we're having the conversations. I've actually also set up a meeting with Tyler and Fire Marshal Shea because there's some concerns about lithium-ion batteries as well. There's been some recent things with that, so we want to make sure that that's covered as well. I am continuing discussions with Councilwoman Berga and Councilman Ivy on our tree ordinance. We hope to have some working sessions in the next few weeks. I did take note about the dark sky ordinance and the green building checklist, so I'll take a look at those. And that is all I have.
So I think just also the phone issue is kind of been-ish, resolved-ish, maybe, but I still think that we're having still some issues. Okay. Right, I think you guys have found it better as well.
Slightly better. We're actually working with T-Mobile now to investigate some new equipment to ensure our MDTs are working inside the patrol cars and the critical needs that we have. So we're testing out in one vehicle T-Mobile's access and see if that changes anything for us. So we might move away from Verizon if they can't, ensure that our first responders are getting the information they need in a timely fashion.
I think it's a little bit better in spots, but certainly not
here, Chief, taking radar on Mountain Way and Glenbrook today, but I also saw Officer Emery Ferris and Officer Nyquan on bicycle. Were they training Officer Nyquan, or they were just out?
No, just bicycle patrol today on the nice weather and helping the kids walk to and from school, and then we did a nice radar detail with 6 of us, I would guess, on Granite Savage.
Yeah, my son saw you guys over there.
Reduce those speeds, yep.
How close did he see him?
Not close enough.
They didn't stop him.
He
So
learned from the last time.
yeah, they didn't stop him, so he learned to slow down. But yeah, I was very impressed to see you out there in the bicycle patrol. It's pretty cool.
It's a great addition to the department, that along with the motorcycle.
Yeah,
We love
that
having
was
it.
fantastic. I love the way. Thank you.
Thank you.
Best around. Okay, thank you. Moving on to public invitation for public comment.
Carolyn Bennett, 19 Dayton. Hello, again, it's been a bit. Honestly, just ran over here, if you hear me out of breath, because I knew this meeting was happening, and it's felt like a very long time since the whole McDonald's, Friendly's, speed, whatever anybody wants to call it, happening out my window started, and I do not see any progress. So I am asking here if somebody can please give me a very easy to understand, not cutting corners, and explain what is the current status of that property and what is going on. My concern is now with the warmer weather, I've got my kids outside in the backyard, and there's stuff flying everywhere out of that lot. There's garbage flying onto our road, Dayton. If any of you guys wanna drive down there anytime, I don't see you there. Maybe once or twice I've seen some people, but like, there's stuff flying out of the lot. God knows what's flying off of that pile of, I wanna say SHIT, but I don't wanna curse, like that pile, mound, eyesore that's just sitting there. I don't know what's in it, but kids are outside, it's warmer weather, like what is happening, what's the plan, and why doesn't it feel like there's any urgency from this body of fixing that?
So we got word yesterday.
I know it's also hard to hear, which is why I came here in person. It's really hard to hear some of you guys on the live stream.
We got word yesterday, I don't know, late in the afternoon, that they'll be removing that pile. We're told Wednesday or Thursday, don't hold me to that.
Why can't I hold you to that?
Well, that's what we're being told, maybe weather, maybe something breaks, maybe something, but hopefully Wednesday or Thursday is what we're being told is the trucks and the contractors scheduled to remove that pile.
And what would break that would,
I mean, I don't know, that's what we're told, so yeah, maybe the backhoe breaks, maybe the wheel loader breaks, just equipment. We're being told Wednesday or Thursday that pile's gonna be removed.
so then what happens come Friday and it doesn't?
That's something that we'll have to take up with the DEP who issued those permits.
And whose responsibility is it to make that phone call if that pile's still there on Friday?
More than likely, our building code enforcement officer.
Speak up, please.
Bill O'Connor.
So on Friday morning, if the pile's still there, Bill O'Connor will call, or does one of the residents here have to call him and say, hey, pile is still there?
No, Bill O'Connor will know and he'll make that call. He'll know if they're there on Wednesday or Thursday. I'm sure he'll be in touch with the contractor to find out what's going on Wednesday or Thursday if they're not there.
Okay, because I have not been here physically the past few months, but I've been listening in. I've heard many dates promised to the public, similar to what you're telling me now. I know April 30th was a date. Well, I know we all have a calendar, it's May 7th, and I don't see anything. So I'm not hopeful, I'm not hopeful that Wednesday or Thursday something's gonna happen.
Okay, well, I'm hopeful something does happen, so we can at least get that part behind us, so I'm very hopeful that happens. I was very hopeful that April 30th happened. Those permits were out of our control, that the holdup was out of our control. The DEP had those permits. I have emails to prove that from DEP themselves and the contractor back and forth. The gentleman that was supposed to issue the permits was not there. When he came back, I believe it took 2 or 3 days for him to go over the paperwork and then issue the permits.
So so what happened on May first after that April 30th deadline? Like, why on May first wasn't anything else escalated? Because I'm going to be blunt to everyone, this just sounds like something's going on in the background, like,
Well,
you
like I
gotta
said-
just kick the tire down the road, doesn't matter, the residents are eventually gonna give up, like, we're not, and we're pissed off, and we
That's
want
fine. I mean,
accountability from you guys.
That's great, that's fine, and the accountability on this part of the project goes to the DEP, not the Borough of Morris Plains. They were issuing the permit. They got our recommendation from our zoning officer, all that paperwork was due diligence of the borough to get to the DEP, and then that relied on the DEP to
And
issue
when
that
did
permit.
all of that
It
happen?
went to two people in DEP, Gina, forget her last name, excuse me?
Lugo.
Okay, there you go. First, she approved it, and it went to permitting. When permitting got it, the person that was gonna go that wasn't there. He came back, had the emails to prove it, he issued the permit within 2 or 3 days.
And this all happened recently, even though this thing has been in motion for God knows how long before the ordinance was changed to let it drive through there anyway? It just seems like a perfect storm of, like, conveniently the backhoe might break, conveniently this person disappeared.
Well,
But I mean, I hear there's a parade coming up, so I'm sure we don't want that there on the
Listen,
side.
that property was vacant last year at the parade, that has nothing to do with it. If the pile was there for the parade, the pile's there for the parade, that's not our number one focus, is having the pile removed for the parade by any stretch of the imagination.
What would your number one focus be? To get the pile removed because of what reason?
Getting that pile removed because of the eyesore that everybody's complaining about.
And I would hope public safety is part of that too, like I know there was I've listened to recordings, there's talk about samples and 23 samples were taken, maybe not tested, like it's so hard to follow this saga. So I'm hopeful that, okay, the eyesore is maybe your priority as you just said, but like I would really hope public safety is a consideration too. Like there is garbage flying around Jill's backyard, the neighbors next door, my backyard, it's ridiculous.
We've had meetings, I had meetings with Jill and Ms. Dugan, we had meetings with the zoning officer, Bill O'Connor, we sat down. I think ironed out a few things, I know the fence is not fixed, that was supposed to be fixed the other
On a
day.
day that came and went, so it's just like these empty promises.
So that's why I'm saying, hopefully Wednesday or Thursday, I'm not locking you down to Wednesday and Thursday, because I said April 30th, which was the date that we were given, and then that didn't happen. So again, that was out of my control or our control here.
Can I ask someone here to take it upon themselves that Friday morning, if the pile is still there, you guys do something and the onus not be on Bill O'Connor if he can fit it in his schedule or one of the residents?
Bill O'Connor is the enforcing officer for that, so that's where it's gonna have to come from.
Okay, my question still stands. Can I ask somebody that represents the town to take accountability for Friday, if it's still there, to make sure the action that Bill is supposed to take happens? Because I think a lot of that has been falling on the residents.
It hasn't been falling on the residents. Bill has been very much on top of this lately. And he will be on top of this pile moving forward, starting Wednesday and Thursday if they're not there.
Okay. My other question about it was the fence that is like half fall. I'm not talking about the property fence with Jill and whatever else is falling in the wood, like that's a whole other issue. The fence that's supposed to be keeping kids off of that property, it was covered and now it's not. Is that up to the construction standard? Like, is that property currently safely fenced in? Because it doesn't look like it. The sandbags are half on the fence, half not, and I just, again, my concern is safety, so I'm wondering about the fence situation.
As far as we know, it is, yes.
Okay. Who would be the one to say that more confidently? Not as far as we know.
One of the inspectors, I would have to say.
Who is that?
Bill O'Connor.
Carolyn, since the construction department falls under my purview, I will follow up with Bill O'Connor.
Okay.
I have had an ongoing dialogue with him, he's been keeping me in the loop.
Yeah.
Copied me on the emails that I'm assuming the residents are getting as well.
I have not read it. I tried to check out of this, to be honest, but I can't anymore.
Okay, it's fair, but I will follow up with Bill
Okay.
on what he's supposed to be doing, what he can do. I'll have an ongoing dialogue, and then we'll communicate that back out to the public.
Okay, that sounds good. Hopefully, I guess Friday will come and we won't have to have another conversation like this, but I think that was it for now. I know where the seat is in case I have more questions. Thank you.
Jill Ceciar, 11 Dayton Road. Listen, planning on talking, as you can see, I don't have any notes today. Well, my first is about the wooden fence, the 2-year ongoing saga. With the email or the text that you sent me yesterday, I was so excited to see someone come and address the wooden fence. No one did. No one did today either. It's been 2 years. Ironically, I looked back at the text that you sent me, and the one above it, the last text was from July 14th, 2024, regarding the wooden fence. This is going on 2 years.
That text was not that back part.
It is
was
the
the front
entire
one. I
property
didn't know about the
line.
back one.
You knew about it.
No,
Don't-
not at that
please
time.
don't-
But anyway,
Please
okay.
don't try to insult my intelligence.
No, not at all.
Anybody can see it. You can see it from Spiegel Avenue. This has been 2 years. And I'm not even sure why you're the one that's contacting the property owner's attorney rather than Don Salerno as the zoning officer who should be inspecting and making sure it gets fixed.
Don has been over there, but it was suggested that I try to reach out, I think by Mr. Houston, to the property owner and see whether that would have any further effect on getting some of this stuff.
Well, I know Don and Bill went over there the day after you and I met on April 13th. April 14th, they went over there. I guess inspected the site, but nothing's changed. So I guess clearly Don didn't see any garbage or any fence that's half non-existent. I know Nancy has, because she took the time to come and see it. She actually came 2 years ago when we were complaining about the dog poop bags and all the garbage that was in the, and maybe others have, I don't know. But nothing has changed. It's been, I think from my first email in September of last year till now, the same problems, the same issues. Not one thing has changed. But the only thing that is different is there's been 6 months of inactivity, which means that that demo permit should be closed out according to the UCC, whatever, Universal Construction Code. We met with you, the April 30th date, I'm not sure who made that date.
That was a county and a DEP thing, right? If it wasn't moved, then the county.
I
said
thought it was a
should-
Board of Health or a
Yeah,
Department
County
of Health.
Board, yeah, the county board of health suggested that the pile be covered by April 30th if it wasn't removed. I think it's.
Right, and it hasn't been covered, nor has it been removed. So do I have to contact the county Department of Health in order to have some kind of fines or violations? Because now we're just, oh, now it's the DEP,
I think if
which,
they were involved, then yes, that would be correct. We can follow up with the county to see whether they're gonna find them or not. And DEP, if they issue those permits to have that pile moved, that fine would come from DEP, not the borough.
well, the DEP issued exemption 2 and 20. I believe number 2, and I might be wrong, but I believe that was approved and everything, acknowledged by the DEP over a month ago.
Correct.
And they couldn't use the, because there's no site plan approval. Then as we were approaching this April 30th deadline, I find out that they submitted paperwork for exemption 20, I believe it was on April 13th or 14th, right around the same time. So who in their right mind would think that submitting all this paperwork to a state level department is going to instantaneously be granted within 2 weeks? Now we're just using that as an excuse
No, it's
to
not an
postpone it.
No, it's not an excuse at all, Joe. That was out of our control. We didn't know that the issuing person wasn't gonna be there. When
It was
he
out 1
came-
week.
Yeah, when he came back, he he issued it within 2 days, 3 days, maybe 2 or 3 days. And that is exceptionally fast for the state.
Yes, it is, but it's now being used as an excuse. If it was issued that day, the pile should have been moved. Now we're waiting on K&M Construction's timeline or Malelli's timeline, and they're saying Wednesday or Thursday, and I'm sure there'll be an excuse then.
Jill, I think they had every good intention of being able to do that since they moved some equipment in there prior to the 30th of April. Probably at least a week, maybe longer. That there was some equipment, one piece of equipment to load trucks, now there's another one there. But I don't think they anticipated the delay.
Why did they wait till?
You have to ask them that question.
Right, exactly. But nonetheless, it's been 6 months, there's no activity. I want the pile gone, I'm not telling you, like, don't allow them to remove it, but they need to have that removed. That site needs to be cleaned because what was the delay? They never cleaned the site. Okay, the dirt pile is still there, but the garbage, the broken glass, the unsecured fencing, all of that has been there with no excuse why that hasn't been rectified. I'm just to the point that it is so blatantly obvious that Malelli and his guys are calling the shots and the town is bending over for them.
Anybody else? You know when we'll move on to introduction of ordinances. Having none. Ordinances on second reading. Unfinished business. We have the 2026 budget adoption. Before we have that, I'll have a few statements. Budget. Good evening, council members, borough staff, and residents of Morris Plains. For many people, budgets can feel abstract or overly technical. But at its core, our budget is a reflection of our values. It shows how we prioritize services, invest in our future, and protect financial well-being of our residents. We stand before you today to present the 2026 municipal budget. I'm proud to say that Morris Plains continues to stand on exceptionally strong financial ground. For the average Morris Plains household, assessed at $461,914, the local portion of the property tax will increase by $69. This is an increase of only 1.58%, still well under the allowable 2% increase. Our ratables have increased by 2.15% over last year, which balances out the overall fiscal picture and points to commercial and residential opportunities that continue to be robust in Morris Plains. Our 2026 municipal appropriations remain well under the 1977 appropriations cap, after exclusions. Overall appropriations have increased by 1.63%. We have consistently asked ourselves a simple but important question. How do we maintain a high quality of service while respecting the financial burden of our residents? The answer has been through responsible government. Over my years on the council and as mayor, I have been deeply involved in shaping our financial strategy. One of our most important accomplishments has been paying down debt, which for 2026 has been in the amount of $1.3 million. This will fully fund several key 2026 capital projects. The future debt obligations have been reduced by over $1 million, and we will be paying off one of our last bonds by the end of 2026, leaving only one remaining. It has positioned us to better weather economic uncertainty while continuing to invest in our community. This did not happen overnight. It required long-term thinking, tough choices, and consistency. But today, because of that work, Morris Plains is in a far stronger financial position than it was even a year ago. While other municipalities in Morris Plains are nearing double-digit increases and depleting their reserves, Morris Plains has one of the lowest increases in the county, with reserves on hand. We have navigated unthinkable increases this year, such as state health benefits, which have increased 34%, and workers' comp insurance, which has increased by 11%, among other large increases. We do not make financial decisions lightly. Every dollar is considered. Every investment is evaluated. And every choice is made with the goal of preserving both the quality of life in our borough and the trust of our residents. Morris Plains is doing things the right way. We are stable, disciplined, and we are prepared for the future. I want to thank Anna, our CFO, the department heads, and the council for their help in assembling this fiscally responsible budget. Ms. Burke. Oh, I'm sorry. I state that the public hearing on the introduced budget is now open. Any members wishing to speak on the budget? Seeing no one, I close the public hearing. And I ask Ms. Burke to move the resolution.
I move the adoption of the 2026 municipal budget. Be it resolved by the governing body of the Borough of Morris Plains, County of Morris, that the budget herein before set forth is hereby adopted and shall constitute an appropriation for the purpose stated of the sum therein set forth as appropriations and authorization of the amount of $14,581,763.42 for municipal purposes.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Tyler. Roll call, please.
Mr. Brew?
Yes.
Mr. Houston?
Yes.
Mr. Ivy?
Yes.
Ms. Kulik?
Stay.
Mr. Pontier?
Yes.
Ms. Virgo?
Yes.
Thank you.
We do have Anna and Valerie, our auditors, if you want to say a few words each.
Yeah, I just wanna, thank all the departments, for their input in this budget. It was, very, helpful, and we were able to do a fine job of giving me the information. I'd like to thank the council and the mayor as well. We've had, 2 law meetings, but everyone's input was taken in, and, we have a final budget that's a very good budget. I also like to thank our auditor. She's the second pair of eyes that, sometimes needed, just to make sure everything is, all the T's are crossed, the I's dotted.
And I do wanna reiterate what you also said, that yes, this is a fiscally sound budget that the township, that the borough is putting together. I do wanna reiterate also that, yes, while there is an increase, you're considerably lower than most communities are facing this year. We do about 90 municipalities in the state, and the average right now to an average homeowner, most average homeowners on a municipal are saving anywhere from $150 to $200 on an increase. That is huge numbers that we are not accustomed to seeing in most of our world as we see them. So the fact that you could continue to do this budget, fiscally sound budget, that does not put you at any future risk, also, and doing it with a lower rate is commendable.
Moving on to new business. Mr. Brewer.
Yeah, I wanna move to table resolution 2026-68 entitled Resolution Authorizing Paul Sokolowski of Transfer Engineering, PSNS, to proceed with plans and specifications for the police department and municipal building renovation and addition.
I second the motion.
All in favor? Opposed? Abstained? Roll call then, Christian?
Mr. Brew?
Yes.
Mr. Houston?
Yes.
Mr. Ivy?
Yes.
Ms. Kulik?
Yes.
Mr. Pontier?
Yes.
Ms. Virgo?
Yes.
Thank you.
Moving on to resolutions. Mr. Brewer.
Carrie Ivy be granted permission to serve alcoholic beverages at a pre-K graduation celebration on June 5th, 2026, from 4 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. at Community Park.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Bill Houston. Roll call, please.
Mr. Brew?
Yes.
Mr. Houston?
Yes.
Mr. Ivy?
Abstain.
Ms. Kulik?
Yes.
Mr. Pontier?
Yes.
Ms. Virgo?
Yes.
You have vouchers, Ms. Virgo.
I move that the checklist dated May 7th, 2026, in the amount of $3,743,517.58 be approved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Tyler, roll call please.
Mr. Brew?
Yes.
Mr. Houston,
Yes.
Mr. Ivy,
Yes.
Ms. Cooley,
Abstain.
Mr. Pontier,
Yes.
Ms. Virgo. Thank you.
Be it resolved by the Borough Council of the Borough of Morris Plains on the seventh day of May 2026, the mayor and Borough Council shall meet in executive session from which the public shall be excluded.
And. You can't.
Be excluded to discuss matters as permitted pursuant to NJSA 10:4-12 subsection D7, pending for anticipated litigation or contract negotiation other than in subsection D4, herein matters falling within the attorney-client privilege.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Nancy, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, abstained, the ayes have it, we are in executive. We will be coming back.